We welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Well, it's week 17. Sports Box Sunday preview is back. Took a week off for the holidays, but we're back to close out 2023 with you. Drew Trammell, Tony Cooley, Anthony Medio, myself, Brian Attard, and just a lot to talk about with just 2 weeks left in the NFL season before the postseason kicks off. Again, powered by the Sports Box Network. Gentlemen, good morning. How is everyone?
What's up, boys? Morning.
What's up, fellas? Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. Going to have a good New Year's Eve tonight. Hopefully Santa brought everybody what they wanted. Drew got a new head coach.
Drew definitely got. Drew got an early gift. Drew
Came early for Drew.
For sure.
Yeah, man.
We'll start as we normally do with the Thursday night game, where the Cleveland Browns have clinched a postseason spot. Where am I? Hold on 1 second. Of course, everything that I did yesterday is not here. Hold on.
Oh, I see it coming up.
No, it's all right. It's technical difficulties, but I'll be fixing that throughout the morning, so that'll be okay. 1 second. 3, 2. There we go. Okay. Browns 37, Jets 20. Joe Flacco, 19 of 29 for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. David Njoku went for 6 for 134. As I mentioned, the Browns are in the AFC playoffs. And a couple questions coming out of this game, right? Is there some realistic credibility to the idea that Joe Flacco should win Comeback Player of the Year? And should Kevin Stefanski, given the fact that he's doing this with Joe Flacco, have a lot of thought of Coach of the Year? I'll let the boys handle that.
Comeback player? Sure. I don't have a problem with him being in the conversation with that. I mean, come back off the couch. I don't know what he's coming back off of, but coming back off of not being very good like Geno Smith last year. I mean, it's, what we're basing this award from, but what Flacco's been doing is amazing. Stefanski, he doesn't get any credibility, not in my book. I mean, it's just, it's kind of just basic what fundamentals of football. Throw the ball to the open receiver. Don't turn the ball over. You have some freak in Amari Cooper go for 200 yards a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's weird. And it's just like it was an epiphany that for whatever reason in the last 4 years that no other quarterback knew that David Njoku was on their team, or he was actually just a freak of nature. I know Anthony knows that since he's a Miami U guy. Yeah. But here's a guy. It's like, wow, like they get him the ball. He's kind of good. Like, who knew? It was kind of weird.
What team is Ant root for? Miami?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Welcome to your damn house. Put our foot on your throat and snatch out your damn heart. And that's what we are about to do tomorrow. We are going to snatch out their heart. Snatch it out.
For both of you, both appreciate it.
Oh, that's my favorite player of all time. And I didn't mean to bring up Miami losing to Rutgers either, by the way.
Yeah,
oh wait,
well,
I just
Lou, we'll get to it. That's the next game after this one.
Oh,
go ahead.
I'll go with Joe. I mean, it is amazing what Joe Flacco's doing, and he does have 2 freaks on the offensive side. I mean, no Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford filling in, Hunt filling in. I mean, give credit to the general manager. I mean, there's lots of talent on this team, and they overcame all these injuries. Their defense is being consistent, playing well. So, I mean, if the Browns get a home game, I don't know if they can, Brian. It's gonna be tough to go there and play.
Yeah. Basically, what I concur everything what Anton said. I am going to give Stefanski a little bit of credit. I mean, for the injuries that he has dealt with in the entirety of the season and to be able to overcome them. And it's still a hard thing to do as an NFL head coach. Nick Chubb being gone, that's like what, 75% of their offense. Deshaun Watson, who hasn't returned to the Deshaun Watson we make the jokes all the time on our shows, but he's not the same guy as he was in Houston. So that's also another Nick. And then Also, what Ant was alluding to, also the two tackles that are gone in the guard.
Mhm.
I mean, he's lost 3 starting offensive linemen, and the defense is playing lights out. Denzel Ward is a name that should be in every household, as obviously Myles Garrett, who's probably going to walk away with Defensive Player of the Year award between him or a few other guys, but I'm pretty sure he's the leading guy right now in Vegas odds. And
Michael Parsons.
I love Michael Parsons. I mean, we could have that. You know, me personally, I think Michael Parsons is an enigma. So and that's the most compliment I can give somebody who you can hide and play in almost any position you want in defense. He's that good. But yeah, man, it's amazing, Brian, what Joe's been able to do. But yeah, Quig said it on Thursday night. I believe it was Thursday when he texted us to the group. It's pretty hard when you could just find an open guy and just throw a guy and not turn the ball over, and your job's easy, and they're making his job easy. You know, no Amari Cooper last Thursday night, and Elijah Moore actually became relevant until he got that unfortunate.
I mean, they're
real quick. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh has hired football agent Don Yee to represent him.
I saw
People that are going to stay where they're working do not hire new representation. Just putting that out.
No. Yeah, he's gone. He's leaving. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, you know, I'll end with that. I don't really get into the Comeback Player of the Year award. It is what it is. I really can care less. I don't even know what the award means, but I'm pretty sure we all can agree that DeMar Hamlin doesn't need to get it. I mean, it's that simple.
He doesn't play.
He doesn't play.
I think the shock is how much they're dropping back and they're throwing the ball.
Give me Jaden
Play
Reed.
action.
Give me Jaden Reed in this.
On that, Singletary.
Singletary.
Him and Singletary all day, every day, out of the backfield, catching passes, especially in PPR. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like Singletary too. Yeah.
Anyway,
Singletary.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean they're dropping back 30 plus times with Joe Flacco. So they have all the confidence in the world with him, and you know, like we talked about, staying in the pocket, reading the defense correctly, and finding the open man, utilizing the good roster he has. Njoku is a beast. He was always a beast. So I mean, yeah, the future's bright. Not a good look for Watson, even though they were what 5-1.
It's not a good look for 90% of the quarterbacks in the
Jets.
NFL right now that Joe Flacco could walk out here. And I mean, what would Flacco be doing with a season with the Jets? I mean, Baker Mayfield's having some decent success down in Tampa Bay, but like these, I mean, there's some decent football teams out there that are just have a cesspool of quarterback. I mean, you have to think what Flacco is doing is a lot better than what are some of these other guys. I mean, you have the kid from Jaron Hall starting again in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It just shows you that the NFL quarterback situation is in bad shape. You know,
I remember on the show we joked about it when they signed Joe Flacco to the practice squad. We were like, oh man, we're fucking, and now look.
It's impressive, right? I mean, that you could call it any which way you want to. I mean, that's there's the funny thing about the parity in the league is there's a couple teams that you can look at, and generally speaking, you can say, you know what? Like, it's not a fait accompli that the top seed of the home team is going to get a win here. And we'll talk about that when we get to the playoff teams before we get into the games today. But Cleveland's dangerous. Cleveland is a very, very dangerous team. And again, we've seen Joe Flacco win a Super Bowl with an excellent defense. So,
and he got extremely hot. Like that.
Yeah, people forget that part.
He was on fire.
12 touchdowns, 0 picks. That he's one of the greatest postseason runs of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was good too. And you look at
the Denver game. Jacoby Jones, I still see him going down the sideline, scored.
Jeez.
Not 4.
Yeah,
5.
We might need to revisit that conversation.
Chris,
same 5 that started the season, Brian?
Same 5, no change.
So the body of work this year means nothing.
Nothing.
Lawrence,
they come out of the NFL draft. They get on an NFL team. Brian says they're top 5. It doesn't matter what they do the rest of their career.
A bad quarterback can win a championship.
A
bad quarterback can win a championship. It's happened all the time. That's not. It just means they're not the reason why.
It happens all the time. No, it does not. No, it doesn't.
Nick Foles has a championship.
Okay. Give me another one.
Non-elite guys can win. It just depends on Joe Flacco.
Not elite and bad is way different.
It's not to
Yeah.
me. It's not. There's elite and you're not. You're in the club or you're outside. Very simple. I don't care.
What?
You know,
Well, then you're discounting the other 48 guys on the team. You know, I mean,
That's crazy.
anyway,
like Joe Flacco is a very competent quarterback.
It is a measure of talent. Doesn't mean you're going to win anything.
Chris Fallon,
But talent
Fields might be the best quarterback in the draft.
Talent.
Trevor Lawrence.
Talent it usually equates to production,
Not always.
but usually does.
But so
And what we're
let's go-
seeing-
let's go
what
way
we're
back,
seeing-
right?
What
So
we
everybody-
see the Jaguars has been absolutely dreadful for
Not a
Trevor
good year.
Lawrence.
But let's go. Let's do this, gentlemen.
Years.
Let's go
Yeah.
because the game in the NFL has changed in the last 30, 40 years, right? Let's go on the way back machine. And you know, Troy Aikman was on the TV a lot last night, you know, with the Ring of Honor celebration and everything like that. Troy Aikman wasn't a productive quarterback in by today's measure, but he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So how do you bounce that off you know, this modern day production retard? Because Aikman was accurate. He was in the perfect system, perfect team, phenomenal. You put him on a regular team where he throws the ball all the time, like some of these other guys, I mean, his numbers would be through the roof. You don't have to be the top four elite in the league.
I think the Cowboys won a couple Super Bowls off a very, 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 very good offensive line.
All right, what about a guy like Phil Simms?
Again, I'm not. You don't have to be elite to win. It's just easier if you are. That's all I'm saying.
Well, what about these elite quarterbacks that don't win? Dan Marino. Dan Marino is the top 5 quarterback of all time. He's never won.
Miami did not do enough to put anything around him. Then you can't. The elite quarterback. They got there once.
So you see what you're saying here, right? You're saying you can only be an elite quarterback to win, and then you're saying Marino didn't get enough around.
I said non-elite quarterbacks have won Super Bowls. That does happen
because they have to put a phenomenal team around.
Sure, that just means they're not the reason.
But the quarterback position.
I'm specifically telling you, Troy Aikman is
the guys
not
like Phil Simms and Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer.
Joe Flacco had that was an elite.
They don't have to be the reason why the team wins, but they cannot be the reason why the team loses. Sure. And that's to be different. Nick Foles didn't do anything to cost them back. So when you're there, you can't say that too. Like you can't say, well,
I can.
You know, he's not elite because he didn't throw 7 touchdowns, but he also didn't throw any interceptions. So that's the elite, not turning the ball over, making a correct decision.
My question to you, what makes I understand your top 5 in Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and who's the 5th one?
Herbert.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Okay, so I understand those are your guys. If you had to put someone 5th, who would be 5th?
Those are 5.
No, who's your 5th? Like,
the 5th guy is Trevor. Of the 5 is Trevor. So when you look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, what makes you fall in love with him?
From long blonde hair, tall and white. He's tall, white, with long blonde hair.
Brian, let's go through it. He can throw the ball. He can move in the pocket. He can run. Right? Are these the things that you like?
Came
so
out.
What's the difference? So what's the difference of him and Justin Fields?
Justin Fields cannot be a professional quarterback. He's not running the football.
I wouldn't go Justin Fields. I would say Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson cannot be a professional quarterback if he's not running the football.
He's not what?
If he is not actively running, he is not going to be effective. The difference with him is, yes, if the threat of the run is there, the defense has to account for it. Somebody can get a little more open.
That's play calling and scheme. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has the ability to run. Josh Allen has the ability to run. Josh Allen is a phenomenal.
Josh Allen runs.
Josh Allen runs because Sean McDermott's a moron. If I have Josh Allen, I am just picking everybody's defense apart. My guys will get open. I'm going to get him the ball.
So you're negating a big part of his ability.
Yeah,
I do not want him risking a knee injury, running the ball any more than he absolutely needs to.
Your ideal
That's the game today.
Your ideal QB coach would be Medusa. Just you want a bunch of stone figures back there.
No. Do not confuse scrambling to extend the play and running forward. These are two very different things.
Oh my God.
All right, so how about that game last night, guys?
All right.
Yeah, listen, we could go.
We can
beat that horse here.
Listen, no one has to share my opinion. That's why it's mine. You can have yours. It's wonderful.
Sure,
Yeah.
you're right.
Fucking
You're right.
wrong.
Saturday Night Football.
That's why we love you.
Saturday Night
That's why we love
Football. The Dallas Cowboys eked out a win, 20-19 over the Detroit Lions. Dak Prescott, 26 of 38 for 345 and 2 touchdowns with 1 pick. CeeDee Lamb, the primary beneficiary, 13 for 227 and a score.
Jesus.
However, the story of the game is clearly going to be a controversial call at the end of the game, where the Lions' Taylor Decker said he reported eligible. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Brad Allen said he didn't, so that was negated. And then, for whatever reason, Dan Campbell decided to keep going for 2 over and over and over again. Didn't get it, and the Cowboys walk away with a win. So I walked into this game thinking, and I maintain that it didn't mean that much to Dallas because they're not going to get the 1 seed. They're not going to win the division. Detroit needed it if they intended to go anywhere higher. Detroit got screwed at the end. None of these games mean that much to Dallas. They're going to be the 5 seed. They've been the 5 seed for a good month and a half. Anyway, I go back and look at that play that we're going to talk about right now. My take on it is the Lions tried to be deceptive and have about 2 or 3 linemen go to the referee at the exact same time to not indicate who was actually eligible. I also recall in the NFL, don't they normally say number blank is eligible? I didn't hear any of that.
True.
So, again, was it a referee mistake? Yeah, maybe. Did what Detroit did to try to be deceptive make it harder on the referee to know? Probably. And also, I forget where I read it today, but something about who was covered and who wasn't. You lined up in the wrong spot, so you can't be whatever it was. You know, again, the NFL leaves these rules in the rule book wide open so they can drive a truck through it so that they can call what they want to when they want to. I don't think it's as cut and dry as, oh, this guy's walking over to the ref, so clearly he said something. Maybe he did. There were 2 other guys just as big around him as well. It is what it is. Black call that.
How about you kick the extra points in earlier in the game? How about you hit a field goal earlier in the game and you're not worrying about, you're not having to worry about this 2-point conversion. I'm a IT tech guy, right? The analytics that are implemented in some of these 2-point conversions, I don't care what they say. It don't make sense just because they want to push everything into the 2-point conversion on your last touchdown. Nah, take the points as they're there because you don't know how the ball bounces in the future. With that said, I got a real easy breakdown. Taylor Decker went to Ohio State. Urban Meyer.
Love it. I like that.
Urban Meyer went to Ohio State for his career there, right? Urban Meyer from Ohio State. Taylor Decker from Ohio State.
League's
He's a liar. He's a liar, just like everybody else who was in that university. A bunch of liars.
I don't think the ref saw when you watch the video, he doesn't even acknowledge he's looks like he's telling him and he runs right by him. His head doesn't turn. I don't know if he didn't hear him. It just looked like the ref didn't even acknowledge him.
Like Kadarius Toney, right? A couple of weeks ago, checking on the line. I mean, everybody who's played receiver looks at the ref, gets the acknowledgement, and then you've seen in the clip of Kadarius Toney, he looks at the ref, he does a quick little acknowledge, thing. The ref didn't ever react or anything like that, and there you go. So,
I felt like the ref never reacted to them coming over to them. I mean, from the videos you see, it's unfortunate and. You're right. I mean, Dan Campbell, after you don't get it the first time, then Dallas gives you the penalty. Then, you know what I mean? I knew he was going to go for it. He's that kind of coach. Give him credit for that. He stands. That's what he does. He does what he does.
It was almost like one of these typical end of the year games, right? They're playing for nothing to lose. They're going for 2 all the time. They're going for a 4th down. They're not kicking field goals when they should. They're not really playing smart football. They're just kind of playing backyard football. And it burnt them at the end, and there you go. No.
And they had the most on the line, like Brian said. Dallas really didn't have much going on. Really affected Detroit and themselves.
The loss to Miami. It's funny, right? So I was in a group chat where it was like, oh, Dallas is terrible on the road. Dallas has 5 losses on the road this year, right? The Arizona one excluded because we all agree that was just bad. It was a very, very bad game. Their losses are to the Eagles, San Francisco, Buffalo, and Miami. So you're like, oh, they're terrible on the road. Okay, they're also playing pretty good teams on the road as well. But
the eye test, Brad, they didn't pass the eye test. The Buffalo game was awful. I
don't disagree with you. But I'm saying it's not like you can just say as a blanket statement they suck on the road when their games against road teams were not exactly against schlubs. That's all.
Well, no, you're right. But when you
Couple.
watch him play, I mean, like even like when you look at some of the like when Eagles had the nice stretch when they had some really nice wins, against good teams in Kansas City or anything like that. Like at least those games were good games and played well and that kind of stuff. The Cowboys have not looked good on the road at all.
No.
The Niners game was as you would expect. I
Buffalo
think
was awful.
they could have won the
Yeah,
Eagles
and-
game, and they could have won the Dolphins game.
Well, those are the two guys, but that's what I'm saying. You just can't look at the opponent. I mean, I don't know how Tony Pollard couldn't find the end zone, but we'll talk about that in our fantasy fucking list for the year.
Just a couple things for me. I think Detroit kind of contradicted themselves after the game when they said, "Oh, we knew that he didn't announce that he was eligible. So then, why are you throwing it to him?" That's if you knew that, because Jared Goff kind of contradicted himself in the conversation, and he must have misspoken or whatever it was. But if you knew, why are you throwing to him?
True. Why are you
thing.
rolling up a trick play to
That was my second thing.
like,
That was
come
my
on.
second thing.
It's just
With
too
a
much
line,
nonsense.
You could have taken an extra point. You could have done this. You could have done that. I hate living in the world where it's shoulda, woulda, coulda. I mean, honestly, we could have the discussion about the Dallas Cowboys should have won by 15 or 20 if CeeDee Lamb does a fumble in the end zone. And we talk. That rule needs to be changed, and I hope it does get changed in the offseason. But I mean, Dallas, from looking at the game from the outside, looking in and looking at everything in its concept of what it was, to me, I think Dallas had something to play for here, because you never know in this league with the Philadelphia Eagles. That team has zero identity. They can easily lose today. They can easily lose next week. I don't have any confidence in that team whatsoever, as I do with the Cowboys. But even taking a step back, even taking a step further, is that I know it's a home game. There's a lot going on that night, and congratulations to Jimmy Johnson, who finally deserves to be in the ring, in the team's ring of honor. And I'm happy to see that happen, that dynamic between him and Jones. It was a cool thing to see for me as a kid in the 90s, reading the books, the Dallas Cowboys, the 90s and all that. So it's cool. But with all that being said, man, Dak and CeeDee Lamb and this offense and this defense, it needs to put I'm missing that game, that big game where everything works together, everything's looking good. They need to get hot before the playoffs. I still have a lot of trust in this team and the Cowboys to make a deep run. But just this game, like something's missing. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the rushing attack not being – because the balance is there. I mean, we didn't talk about Mike McCarthy's bonehead calls, throwing the ball before kicking that field goal. It's just like there's something, just missing. And I don't know what I'm best friends with three Cowboy fans, and they talk about all the time how they're not happy with Mike McCarthy and his decision making, but still, that doesn't take the fact away of Tony Pollard. It's just like this rushing game cannot get going. And it's a little weird.
It's not Tony Pollard, though. It's not Tony Pollard. They cannot run block. It's an awful run block.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
There's no continuity on the offensive line to establish a good running game. Every now and then you'll get a pop one here, and I think, I think what Pollard did last year, and he looked a lot better than what he did this year as far as just like actually having the ball. When you get the ball in hand, a little bit more explosive. But that's because last year there was holes to run. He could explode through the hole, but when there's no hole to run, then all of a sudden this is a whole new world. It's not like Ezekiel Elliott was doing anything magic with open up these holes. The offensive line just isn't good enough this year on run blocking. That's the other thing too. If you notice the success that Dak had in the last few weeks, before the Buffalo game, it's the 1, 2, 3, let it rip. Don't put the hands in long drawn out plays against the offensive line. I mean, and if you look at the long pass that they hit CD with last night, that was a broken offensive line play. Dak made a really nice play, threw the ball out there for CD, and he did the rest.
I don't know how that guy didn't tackle.
The offensive line has more problems than I think.
I don't know how that guy missed them. His eyes must have been shut. Because literally.
Well, if you believe everything now, it's rigged. So that's probably why.
Well, I want to bring up what Brad Allen said after the game. I think this is where at least this is coming from, to at least give some clarity to what is going on through his head, right? The question was asked, why was there a penalty called on the 2-point conversion for an illegal touch? Brad Allen said, so we had a situation where if you were going to have an ineligible number occupy an ineligible position, you have to report to the referee. On this particular play, number 70, who had reported during the game a couple of times, reported to me as eligible. Then he lined up at the tackle position. So actually, he didn't have to report at all. Number 68, who ended up going downfield and touching the pass, did not report. Therefore, he is ineligible touching a pass that goes beyond the line, which makes it a foul. So the issue is number 70 did report, 68 did not. Question. There was a player that went to you just before the play. It was Decker, and he was talking to you. 2 linemen talking to you, and then you went to the Cowboys' defensive line to speak to them. What was that conversation about? Brett Allen. The conversation is where 70 reports to me, and I then go to the defensive team and say to them, number 70 has reported as an eligible receiver. So they will be aware of who has reported, and then I return to my position. That was the conversation with the defensive line. Question. We noticed there were 2 flags thrown on that same play. Was there another penalty called on that play as well? Brett Allen. Yes. Because number 70 reported as eligible and he was covered up at the line of scrimmage, that makes it an illegal formation. So number 70 is in an illegal position because he's covered up by rule, and number 68 catches a pass, which is also illegal.
Because he's off the line. He's off the line. St. Brown's at the end of the line of scrimmage, and you have your inside guy. Your inside guy is on the line, so you can't have that.
This is the listen. It's I was joking around a little bit, the simply of Decker lying and to simplified it. But the other thing too is this is also very simple. If it's not the Dallas Cowboys on prime time, people aren't talking about this. You don't have guys like
it means something. It means a little something for Detroit. That's why it's good. That's why it's good.
You know what? I don't want to hear that because they didn't coach the game like it means something. They coached the game like they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't get
reckless.
Tony, he coaches like that all the time though.
He does.
That's
not to this. Listen, not to this extent. Not to this extent.
Really?
To this extent, multiple times going through
He always goes for him 4th down. He always goes to try to go 2 points. He's an advanced analytic guy.
Yeah, but that's can I real quick? I didn't watch most of this game. The Rangers were on, but I did catch the end of it, which mattered, right? So priorities, Drew. Anyway,
I know.
Detroit moved down the field with ease, right? They did. So why do you feel the need to go for 2 there? Like your defense can't stop the Cowboys, or you're going to lose this game, right? Like when you went back down to the 7, you're going to go for 2 there. You're an idiot. I agree with aggressive. Yeah. Kick it. Tie the game. They won.
Yeah. You got bailed out. It was. So it is what it is.
I just think that you can be too aggressive.
Brad Allen's referee crew is expected to be downgraded and not on the playoff.
Okay.
Wow.
You knew that was
does that mean they acknowledge that the refs fucked up? I don't know what that means.
I think the tweet I'm seeing this is just one of multiple things. I guess they were also they didn't call a late hit where Stroud got the concussion. They there's a lot of
they're graded.
They also the same crew that didn't call defensive pass interference for the Chiefs and Packers game.
Yeah. The one thing too, I'm a little which I heard this morning, which I thought was a thing of the past, is that referees are no longer full time. They're still not full time guys.
Oh yeah, it's been like that forever.
Well, I thought that changed since their minimum was about $350 a year now. I mean, you think you could live on that.
That's an issue. I really feel strong about. Like these guys don't do it year round. I mean, they're not like constantly watching videos, being at people's practice. I think it should definitely be a year round full time job to be a referee.
Yeah, the amount of money the league generates, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And it's not that they're making a very well living. I think like I said, I think the minimum is $350 for these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I have a buddy of mine who's a ref. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know how I forget who it was, but like, how am I supposed to feed my children on that? Kind of whoever said that. I forget what athlete said that. And but I mean, it's still good money where you would think that they would be able to commit to that.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And the NFL does have more money to be able to pay them if need be, So
they're also, but they're also quick. I would think that they were also maybe not the fishing guys, but aren't they out there for training camp for when teasing to practice, in games and all that stuff as well, where they can go through penalties and go through the motions if it was an actual game? Aren't refs already out there doing that in June and July?
But I think that I think they're hired. I might be wrong, but they may be hired by the teams. like the
Oh, okay.
individual teams.
That makes
I
sense.
may be wrong, but I do see them at practice. You know, they do simulate games.
It's always on Hard Knocks.
So I just did a quick, and I guess the average salary is 205,000. It's not quite the 350. I thought they were bumping it up to 250.
Yeah,
Now,
with
and I'm sure their expenses and their flights and everything like that is covered. And so it's like, why aren't they? Why it should be full time? I mean,
but with the kickbacks from FanDuel and DraftKings, that goes up to 400,000, right?
Well, no, I'm saying like if the NFL was worried about that stuff, and we listen,
you're
rampant and
100%
obvious in
correct.
the NBA. It was rampant and obvious in the NBA.
Make the money not matter. That's
what I'm
exactly
saying.
right.
The NFL could pay them enough where they shouldn't be compromised.
100%. Speaking of guys making a lot of money, Russell Wilson is benched for the last 2 games of the season. He is expected to be cut or moved in the month of March by the Denver Broncos. There is going to be a total of $85 million in dead cap if they do it. They traded 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5, and 3 players, including Drew Lock and Noah Fant, for Wilson and a 4. Grade the disaster on every single side because this has not worked. He has not worked at all. At the same time, though, I don't think it's Russ either. So, like, there's a second part to this in the next question, but this is not good. This is not good for the Denver Broncos. This is the kind of move that sets you back 5 years.
I don't know if you've seen what came out last night is that the NFLPA is actually suing, going to file a lawsuit against Denver because
they are.
Yeah, you can't force somebody to change a contract over a threatening being benched. So the Denver Broncos are about to get their teeth kicked in court because it's such obvious and there's multiple people saying it on the record that it happened. So now why would they say this and then not bench? Why didn't they bench him? Why didn't they act on it? Maybe that might save their ass. But I hated this deal when Denver did it. And it just didn't make sense at the time. I mean, even if everything worked out, I didn't think that they would be, a top 2 team in that conference or that division. I expected San Diego Drew to be better than the Broncos, but that never worked out. But this is a mess. This is a mess altogether. So. And hey, shout out for them getting Drew Lock to beat the Eagles on that night game a couple weeks ago. So
the butterfly effect
really is the butterfly effect, Brian.
It's like that thing with the big dominoes, right? Yeah. Russell Wilson traded to Denver, Eagles losing Seattle. Like all these steps.
So you want us to grade the trade or
no grade no I mean it's kind of like this is how bad of a disaster is this? Like I think it's really bad on everything.
If there's ever a thing called F+, I mean
I mean in between the 9/11 and the Titanic.
This is a disaster. This is a disaster for the league, though. This is like it like fucks with the integrity of the league.
Yep.
Like you can't sit. You can't just sit players for no reason just because you don't want them to get hurt. It makes no sense. Like Sean Payton, I've saw online stats where he's calling run plays way more. That he's simply sabotaging Russell Wilson. And if that's true, it's it ruins the integrity of the whole league. I mean, you got people gambling. You got it affects a lot. I think it's a real bad league because it affects outcomes. And I want to see if Sean Payton throws the ball more because there's stats out there showing that he's literally running the ball and the play calling is fucked up.
Jarrett Stidham has been one of my favorite quarterbacks coming out when he came out of college. When he was in college, I thought, at Baylor, I thought he was going to be the real deal, and it'll be interesting to see if he opens up with him because the kid has a friggin' cannon. I approach this different. Russell Wilson wasn't so unlikable. He's very unlikable. I don't think anybody likes him. I don't think his teammates like him, which we heard that in the past. I don't think his coaching staff likes him. He's not a likable guy, and I feel it's a hard time kind of sticking up for him. And
I could see if he was playing bad, but not the best team, but they were winning games. I mean, his stats were. What was it? 26-8 touchdown.
26-8 over 3K passing yards. QBR's up, pass ratings up from last year under what's his name?
And Jerry Judy
It's literally
so it's like
it's a witch hunt. I mean, Sean Payton went into it and just dove right into Russell Wilson when he got there. So I mean, it's just been
okay.
You see
well,
that?
I'm not going to hold back. I'm sorry, quick. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like you see this all the time when new regimes come in and they attack, and they just don't want the quarterback, and it's just get rid of him. And sometimes it's actually better. It's actually better because look at Ant has the Bears gear on, right? Maybe if Justin Fields, somebody just came in there and got their own quarterback, and he didn't have to go through 5 different offense coordinators, and you see this all the time too. So it's like maybe just just go get your guy, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And maybe that kind of maybe that would help out Russell Wilson too. So it'll be interesting to see, but there's going to be some good landing spots for Wilson.
Definitely.
Exactly. That's the perfect segue for me to say what I want to say. And Brian, I'll try to be quick as I can.
Take your time.
First of all, at the Denver Broncos and their organization and what they're dealing with right now. I know this is new ownership. I believe this is new ownership, right? This is the ownership that traded for us. Okay, so you trade away your future for Russell Wilson, and you trade away your future even more with Sean Payton. I forgot what the trade was for Sean Payton, but I know you trade some of your future away for him. First of all, I'm trying to be good. At Sean Payton for what he's doing in that press conference that he did. He is nothing but ridiculed Russ Wilson all year. We never seen him do that with Drew Brees. And you told him not to kiss babies. Drew Brees is kissing babies, what Ryan Clark said. It was 1,000% true. You want to go and be honest about somebody, be honest about him, but be a professional coach about it. And I lost respect for Sean Payton for what he's done this year as a coach and what he's doing to Russ. There's players that have came up in that Denver's team that have spoken good for Russ. And I'm not going to forget the things that Seattle has came out and said about him, the things that probably were true last year about him having his own office and all that. That's probably true. And I'm not defending that behavior. But what I will defend is that he just upset the Chiefs at that time. And you're going to have a conversation with him and tell him, we're going to listen, you got to do this, or we're going to do this to you. You don't do that to players, man.
Yeah.
Especially your franchise quarterback and you paid all that money to, you traded for him, you signed him. Ownership knew that when they took over the team, that this was going to be their marquee guy. It's just been terrible. And now the report came out this morning from Dove that players that are going to be free agents for years to come, the Denver Broncos are going to have to spend way more now to convince players to come over to the organization because of this mishap. I mean, Tony just said it. They're getting sued. NFLPA is going to sue them. And all this behind-the-scenes stuff where the NFLPA got caught in after the conversation they had with ownership and Russ and Sean about we're going to sit you down, or unless you work your contract. Dude, like that's icky. So it's just it's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of BS. And you know what, dude? It's going to be really interesting to see also what Quick and Ant said, where Russ is going to go next year, because I'm pretty sure all of us would agree no one's going to take that contract when he gets released. So
he'll be a free agent. I mean, that's the thing.
He'd be a free agent, yeah. But it's going to be interesting what team's going to take him, because I'm on the bandwagon now of the Bears trading Justin Fields. So because of that, I want to know. It's like there's 2 teams in my mind that I would love to see Russ go to, which is actually 3. The Raiders just out of pure playing the Denver Broncos twice a year would be great. But also the Pittsburgh Steelers and Atlanta Falcons. Those are 3 teams I'm looking at where he can make some noise, and the 2 teams, the 1 team Pittsburgh, I think he would be great in. But it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen. But I'm with you guys, man. This is just a terrible look for not only the Denver Broncos but the entirety of the NFL. It's just bad business. That what a stray, dude. It's just really bad.
So, Sean Payton had his choice of any football team to coach, and he chose Denver. And he knew Russell Wilson was there.
And didn't Denver give up trade comp?
The Chargers weren't going to trade for.
Denver gave up trade comp for.
Yeah, you're right.
Denver traded the 29th pick this year.
Okay.
That's
Ryan Brees.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, was it this year?
Yeah, they drafted Ryan Reese, the kid from Clemson, defensive lineman.
Yeah, it's a mess.
He's got 3.5 sacks this year. I mean, he seems been solid.
The
He's
amount
got
of
more
money,
near sacks than Sean Payton.
the amount of money they got to eat is incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, it's not
Insane.
Here's the thing, guys. Listen, even if Russell Wilson was working out in Denver and it was a good and he's playing well, okay, they're probably not better than the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs have we've seen some woes, and they're right there with the Chargers, right? And they're not a guaranteed playoff team, even if Russell Wilson is being what he should have been, or even half of what he was supposed to be. That's what makes this trade so bad. It wasn't a good trade at the time. Russell Wilson flamed out, and it's just been a disaster. So, wherever Wilson lands, and I think Russell Wilson and Justin Fields will be competing for landing spots. It's going to be where they want to go.
Well, here's the thing. I recall once upon a time, weren't the New York Giants enamored with Russell Wilson?
I don't remember that, but I don't think New York would be a good place for Russell Wilson in that mentality.
I know he denied a trade to go to Cleveland Browns.
Well, who wants to go to Cleveland?
No, listen, Russ.
Well, I mean, at that time they were good.
Russ probably would like to go to New York. I don't know if New York would want to deal with Russ. That's the difference. One of the places that you see here, in Tampa Bay, who has a chance to win the division today, Russell Wilson might be a place in Tampa where they could kind of revitalize his career down there. I think that might be something if they want to try to go in that direction and not in love with what Baker Mayfield's doing.
Well, I mean, again, I don't know what it does to the market, but there's going to be teams that are going to be interested, right? I mean, his numbers are not – look, I mean, he is tied in touchdowns with Patrick Mahomes. He is 6th in the league in touchdown passes. Okay?
Timeout. That's Patrick Mahomes this year. That's not normal.
I'm not disputing that.
I'll just throw it out there like Patrick Mahomes has had a great season because he has not.
There are 5
Does he have more than Trevor Lawrence?
He does have more than Trevor Lawrence. There are a lot have more than Trevor Lawrence this year. So, but there are only 5 players in the league with more touchdown passes than Russell Wilson has right now. So, you're getting a guy who's going to be motivated to basically prove these idiots wrong. I think that, again, a team like the teams you mentioned, Drew, the teams that are the heavy hitters in the market. And listen, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if New England, now that they're not in the top 2, don't go take a look at them under Bill. If Bill stays.
Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson in Dallas?
I don't like Dak Prescott.
I'll answer the question, Atard.
I would probably take Russell. If it were me, this question was asked to me, and I said if I had the option,
bro, come on,
I would try to maximize as much value. Dak's going to cost too much money.
Okay,
dollars to dollars, you get more out of Wilson.
So so let's rewind the show. If I had the editing ability right now is when I go to the clip where Brian said he watched a Rangers game instead of Cowboys game. So that shows his answer about Russell Wilson shows a lot.
What did Dak do last night?
327. Had a decent game. One bad interception.
About 100 of them.
Better than Trevor Lawrence has done.
About 100 of them came on one play to Lamb where the guy fell down.
So let's throughout. Hold on.
Is he not supposed to throw the ball?
The guy didn't fall down. Lamb was open. He fell down trying to keep up with Lamb, and he was grabbing him and everything like that. The 3 quarterbacks this year who were talking to MVP for most of the season are Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Lamar Jackson. And
Purdy was
Atard, who doesn't watch the games, but he watches the Rangers games, thinks that none of those 3 are even close to deserving of being quarterbacks in the NFL. Chew on that.
Top 5 talents, everybody else.
Okay.
Just this.
What we got going on next? Because I'm tired of talking about Russell Wilson.
Good. We can talk about CJ Stroud. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Stroud returns today against the Titans, and Puka Nacua from the Rams is just 147 yards short of the rookie receiving record. Now, odds will tell you Stroud's the leader in the clubhouse, right? But if Puka gets this number, which he very well may, he's got 2 games to do it, even though the number from way back when was in 14 games. I get it. Does he have a fighting chance at this?
No.
Puka?
Yeah.
No.
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 Yeah, and it's the same thing as the MVP. I mean, you're not
The
going to
quarterback.
You're not going to take it away from the
They
quarterback.
might lose today, Joe. Denver's not very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denver stinks.
They don't pick wide receivers over quarterbacks.
They don't. But again, arguably, Puka's come out of nowhere to be really, really, really good. You know,
I mean, he's got Matthew Stafford throwing to him. He's got Cooper Kupp on the other side. I mean,
But he didn't listen. I'm going to have to kibosh that because Cooper was been out and Puka stepped up.
Yeah.
Puka first when he didn't have Cooper, he was amazing. If he didn't have Cooper, if you project those numbers, he broke the record 3 weeks ago. Listen. I just think that I think the NFL, what they really need to do with this reward and with the NFL MVP award is take a look at picking the best player and not always being a quarterback. But with that said, I think C.J. Stroud, who I'm not a fan of, I didn't have high expectations of, that he has played above and beyond those expectations. He's had phenomenal games. He's had the Texas team, you know, in a place that they need to be, and with a very bright future. They should probably have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year on that team. You know, so it'll be Stroud and Will Anderson, and I think that has to have Texans fans really excited.
As a side note, that's interesting to me. Kyler Murray showed up at the game in Philly today wearing a Sidney Crosby Penguins jersey.
Cindy,
yeah,
makes sense.
It's funny.
I don't think we need to dwell on this topic. I'm not CJ Stroud. I pegged him to be the best quarterback out of this class, and you know, he's exceeded my expectations and what I was looking for into production wise. And it's CJ Stroud, man, for what he's been able to do, for putting this team in the position where they're at. I think they're a game out of the wild card spot or in it. So I mean, if he can win out today, win out next week, I'm pretty sure they're in, and I'm pretty sure that it's already sealed. But I think that would seal it in even further for him to win Rookie of the Year for the offensive side. You know, congrats to him. Congrats to Houston Texans for having the balls to draft him second overall and trade up and get the defensive Rookie of the Year. A lot of people were not feeling that draft night. I loved it, and I love seeing the GM, you know, do his thing and saying, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what was best for my team and my tenureship. And he did it, and it's looks like it's working wonders. We'll see in the next couple of years, Brian, when we come back to this and see if Stroud is to be able to still make strides and be consistent. You know, good for him. Hats off to him and this team.
Listen, Anderson's been so good. He's only third in win rate. And can you guys guess the two who are ahead of him in win rate percentage? Of
Parsons and
Garrett.
Parsons and Garrett. That's all that he's a rookie. There's only two players in the NFL better off the edge than him is Parsons and Garrett. You know, and his double team percentage was also top 10. So he's top 10 getting double teamed. Micah Parsons number one getting double teamed by far, but you know, it's
getting held without being called.
Well,
that pisses me off.
But that's just how good Will Anderson is. But I think it's a Texan sweep for offensive.
Tony, but to that, if you look at the odds, right? If you look at the odds for defensive rookie of the year, Jalen Carter's hugely ahead of Will Anderson.
Which I don't see how that should be, but you know,
Jalen Carter's minus 20,000 and Will Anderson's plus 2,500.
Wow,
really?
That's insane. That's not right. What are you looking at? Where'd you see that at?
DraftKings.
20 minus 20,000 is Jalen Carter.
No, I mean, I believe you.
Closer.
All right. That's too much of a gap.
Yeah, I mean,
don't sound right.
I mean, I watched a lot of the Eagles games. I mean, Jalen Carter has been nice, and I have him top 3, I guess. But
Jalen Carter is definitely a killer out there. I mean, you know, anyway.
He's a great stopgap DT, man.
I just caught that.
You caught my. All right, some of you out there, including me in a couple of leagues, is in a fantasy championship today. If you have CeeDee Lamb, you're feeling really good after last night. Give me you guys who can win or lose you a championship today. Who are your blowouts? Who are your busts?
Oh,
well, you're talking to somebody who was last weekend I had 8 leagues going to play into the championship games. Out of my 10 leagues, I was still alive in 8 with them, and
10 leagues. Holy shit.
yeah, and I had to win one, and Dak. I was 1 touchdown from Dak away from advancing in 2 more. So I went 2-6 in last week in going in championships. And, a lot of big fantasy players were bust last year. I mean, last week. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Dak with his performance last night helped a lot of guys out. Sun God had a nice game. I mean, you already had to see.
I think if you have Ty Hill today, it's make or break. I mean, I could see him having a bad game. I could see him having a good game today against the Ravens. It's a tough matchup. I see probably a lot of people who are in the championships today probably have him.
I think guys like I think Ty Hill. I think Ty Hill definitely is somebody. I think he has a good game today. No Jalen Waddle. They move him around enough where he's going to have another guy that can propel teams that's been really kicking up is Rashee Rice. I mean, he's everything that people were expecting out of one of these receivers in Kansas City, and he's had a really good year, and he's really turning up his team. Kyron Williams, perfect spot for him to have a huge game against
Giants.
It's going to be interesting to see what Etienne does. They're supposed to run the ball heavy, so I think you have them guys. You have a really big shot, but you know what? It's always that one or two guys that you don't expect that pushes your team over the top, and finding some of them guys is going to be tough.
Last week the league I was in,
Zamir White.
Yeah.
Last week the last week impact player in my league was the kicker. It was the Eagles kicker at 17 points to seal victory. So it could be, you're right, it could be anybody.
And you know what? And you talk about a couple of busts. I mean, I had last week I'm in one league. It's a pretty big buy, and I got a co-manager, and I wanted to start Austin Eckler because we've been starting him all year, and he wanted to go with Kenneth Walker. Well, Austin Eckler, who we've been starting every week, even though it's been killing us, we've been starting him every week. If we started as Austin Eckler as we did every other week, we would have won because Kenneth Walker was an absolute dud. So we saw an exit in that one, and I was not happy about it. I'm still not happy about it, but yeah. So I mean, I got like Eckler, Pollard, these guys, they were fancy dog shit because they didn't get hurt, and that's what killing is, and Patrick Mahomes, who I mentioned earlier, I only have him in one league. I think it's one of the leagues I'm in with Atard. This is the first year I've ever had him, and he's absolutely awful.
Yeah. If David Jones is still watching, he's going to really like to know that the Saints are likely keeping Dennis Allen as head coach for next year.
I can't say his name, but I'm looking at it right now. Okanakwo?
The tight end.
Okonkwo.
I think he's a good play today. I played him. I've stashed him on all my teams the last couple of weeks. I think he's got a good matchup against Houston's linebacking core. And what I'm staying away from is anybody in Washington. I sat
today.
Brian Robinson. I sat McLaren, who's been one of the big disappointments this year. San Francisco they don't even know who the quarterback's going to be today. Just a bunch of
who's that?
I'm staying away from that game. Washington.
Sam
Howell. No. Sam Howell's the quarterback.
And McCaffrey.
Oh, is he quarterback today? I know Jacoby had a calf issue, so I don't know if there was.
Listen, Jacoby Brissett is the best backup quarterback in almost the history of the NFL, right? Oh, hold on. You want me to start now? My hamstring's tightened up a little bit. I'm not going to go. The key is definitely he's the guy on the golf course during practice, and then he throws in there. He does a pretty good job, but once he starts for a full season, he gets exposed. Oh, hold on. You want me to start against San Fran? Oh, I'm a little tender. Throw the rookie out there. I ain't mad at him either. He caught the Shaq flu or the 49 flu or whatever you want to call it.
Cold. Christian McCaffrey, I saw today there on TV. 59% of the teams in the championship have him. It was like some ridiculous number. So Christian McCaffrey today, I mean, it could be a blowout. It could screw you if they pull him. I mean, obviously have to ride him, but it could turn into something ugly and he don't play.
Yeah, I don't think I had the opportunity to draft him in any leagues except one, and I took Eckler over McCaffrey. and I'm in the championship somehow.
I think if you have Nico Collins, you're very, very happy the Stroud's playing today. Very,
Sure.
very happy.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's somebody who I think that injury coming back could win somebody a league today, putting Collins back in their lineup. I think if you've shied away from him because of the quarterback, you're not doing it today.
Well, even Stroud coming back. I mean, if somebody
Yeah.
was treading water, because Stroud has put on some phenomenal games, and I'm in
Yeah.
one league where I do have CJ Stroud. My quarterbacks were Fields and Stroud, and you know, I'm playing today for third place, and it's like, I think I got to go with Stroud.
If you've been riding Tua this year, I think today he might not help you that much.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good 2-3 since the beginning of the playoffs. Tua's had horrible matchups. And
Yeah.
But listen, Hamilton's out for Baltimore. Baltimore's secondary isn't great. Kyle Hamilton's out. They have another cornerback out. You know, listen, and we're talking about guys who help teams in fantasy. Raheem Mostert's not playing today. So,
yeah.
I mean,
21
touchdowns. This is a Devin A. Chain, kind of day. And I think somebody that, I know Ant likes the anytime touchdown. Cedric Wilson might be in there stealing some catches and some yards in that Baltimore game, because they're going to need somebody to fill in that Jalen Waddle role. A. Chain has to carry the load. So, I mean, you're looking at some guys that are going to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Another sneaky guy, and I think Atlanta's decent against the run is in Chicago. The running back in Chicago, Herbert. Foreman's out today. So it's going to be a lot of Herbert. I think he had a good game last week, if I remember.
Over 100 yards.
No reason why he doesn't roll, and I think DraftKings had his over-under, which I already bet on. 20, I think it was 30.5 yards for his rushing.
I mean, on FanDuel, I locked it in already. Anytime touchdown, he was at plus 380. I was kind of baffled. So it's ridiculous value that I'll just throw on there just for the hell of it.
Drew, I was going to play the stoop. Oh, you have your earbuds in? Perfect. Wait, what team's Herbert play for?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Fuck the Bears! Fuck Chicago! Fuck you!
I didn't want the kids to hear that. That's why I asked.
No, you're fine.
You're good. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Look it out there.
No, Brian, play that again, please. I need to turn it up.
You want to hear it again?
Yeah.
Fuck the Bears! Fuck Chicago! Fuck you!
Is that better? That's funny. All right. Last thing before we get into the games, obviously, is the playoff picture. So let's take a look. I have to check this down. So we'll look at the AFC here. So obviously, the game of the day we're going to talk about is Baltimore-Miami. That may decide the number one seed. I've only added playoff eligible teams here, and I do think that we've got some clarity now, right? I mean, I think that Buffalo's back from the dead. Buffalo's making the playoffs, kids. I mean, like, they're it. Like, I'm not even concerned. Like, they're it.
If they win today, are they in?
I will tell you right now, Buffalo, no. So they need a win and a bunch of other stuff, which could also happen, right? So, like, if they win and Pittsburgh loses and the Bengals lose, they're in. If they win and Pittsburgh loses, I mean, there's like 14 different scenarios, but a win is not on its own. Go ahead.
Real quick, guys who are depending on our boy CMC to have a big day. Trent Brown, healthy scratch. Looks like 49ers might be laying it out there today. Trent Brown, healthy scratch. Weird.
That's not great, but they need to win, so
they do need to win.
So
they're also playing Washington, so I think half their team could beat Washington.
Listen, they don't. I don't know the record off the top of my hand, but they don't do very well without Trent Brown.
Trent Williams, right? Not Trent Brown.
Yeah, Trent Williams.
Trent Williams.
Yeah, who did I say? Oh shit!
Trent Brown.
Yeah, no, I knew he meant.
Okay, maybe I'm eating it wrong. Maybe I hit that. Maybe I just read it wrong.
I mean, they said he was banged up all week, so I mean, they're just taking precaution.
Let me double check. It might have said Brown, and I'm not seeing it right.
Yeah, they took him out last week, and I thought.
I know he's banged up.
I'm sorry, we'll find it. One of my multiple accounts here.
But when you look at this, right? So there's two spots. And I think Jacksonville and Houston both can get it. It's both of them, right? I think then that hurts. Well, really, it means, here I was saying the Jags are going to run away with the AFC South. There's 3 teams with 8 wins in the AFC South.
Yeah.
Figure that out. So, I mean, in theory, the Jags could find their way out of the playoffs if the Colts and Houston win out and they don't. With an injury,
they're playing the worst
they're getting
football.
the Panthers today, so they should get a win today.
They're playing the worst football.
They should, but
They should. Everything's a should.
I hope they do.
So let me ask you. So again, unless we think that Kansas City is going to blow it, which I don't, there's 2 open spots. If you give it to Buffalo, there's the AFC South winner, and then there's the 7th seed. Give me your 2.
Oh,
who gets it?
AC South winner.
Yeah, give me your AFC South winner, and then the second place team that gets in is the 7.
Who do the Jags have next week?
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
It has to be a division
Schedule. They go to Tennessee next week, who stinks.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll division game though.
It is.
I'll roll with
Will
the Jags.
Levis, they stink,
I'll roll with the Jags. I think the Jags will take it out in the AFC South. And then what was the other one you said?
And then Houston plays the Colts. That could be that's probably a playoff game next week.
That's a playoff game next week, probably.
Yeah.
It was Trent Brown, not Trent Williams.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Von Miller is also a healthy scratch today.
Yeah. Cleveland locked up the 5 seed, it looks like.
Yes. Yeah, they're in. They're in, and
Yeah,
they're not.
yeah.
No one's catching them. They should probably rest guys next week. Frankly.
Yeah, I'm going to go Buffalo, and obviously they're going to get in, and I'm going to go Houston over Indy.
Okay. So Colts are out. Okay.
Yeah, Colts are out.
Do we agree that the Steelers and Bengals are just fodder at this point?
Yeah, they're.
I mean, Pittsburgh's schedule they're in Seattle today, which is not an easy place to go win.
Bengals play the Chiefs.
Steelers go to Baltimore next week. They're done.
I like the Colts to beat the Raiders today. And
I do too.
That's going to really be a big win for them. Colts beat the Raiders. I mean, they're in a good position.
Yeah, I think I agree. I kind of like the Colts. They're at home today against the Raiders, correct? They're at home.
Jonathan Taylor might be bringing some fantasy championship gold finally to some people who are will survive.
That's another one. That's a good one right there.
It's a good 2-touchdown prop right there today. Jonathan Taylor.
But again, listen, if Miami loses today and Buffalo wins, that game next week is for the AFC East and the 2 seed.
I think that's what we say. To be honest with you.
I think
And that'll probably be the Sunday night game. They'll probably move it to Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, it's about that. It's about time for Tua to get a concussion, right? I mean, no other team to get him to.
Jesus.
I think Miami
God.
has a hard time winning today. So
I think Baltimore wins today. So
yeah. What's crazy about that and what we're talking about right now is that if Buffalo does, they should handle business today with the Patriots, who's out like 4 defensive starters and now Hunter Henry's out. If the Bills handle business today, they win next week. Do they really jump up to the 2 seed?
Yeah.
Holy
they do.
wow! Oh my god!
And everybody laid him for dead when they lost the Eagles.
Well, hold on, but Brian, they have
I
tiebreaker over. They have tiebreaker over Kansas City. If Kansas City wins out, too.
Yeah, they do.
And they beat them.
Yeah, they beat them.
That's right.
They beat them.
Yeah.
Wow.
They beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, because Jaguars can't catch up to them.
Listen, Buffalo's won 3 in a row, 4 of 5. They would have won 5 in a row if Gabe Davis just turns his head.
Oh man.
Everybody said that when they lost to Denver, everybody said they were dead, and they were going into the meat of their schedule: Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys. They got 2 out of 3 wins. Should have been all 3.
Gauntlet, bro.
That's not Gabe Davis's fault at all. That was just miscommunication.
Well, but I'm saying if he just turns his head the other way, they're in the end zone. Would help the Cowboys.
Buffalo plays defense. They would have won the game too.
That's a problem for many years now.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen could also took the check down instead of throwing it to Gabe Davis.
That too.
Wide open.
That too.
We look at the NFC.
Hero ball. Sometimes
where there's 4 teams that are in. The game in Tampa today with the Saints will determine basically who's going to win the South. If the Bucs win, they win the South. Cowboys are essentially locked in as the 5. They won't fall worse than that. Could they move up? Maybe, but probably not. So you're looking at 2 spots. Here's what I'll say about this. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to play the Rams in the first round.
Agree.
That's not a good matchup, right? And I'll tell you one more. If Green Bay finds their way in and ends up grabbing Detroit, that's not good for Detroit. They've already gone in there and beaten them. Detroit, I think, is very vulnerable to either a Rams team with with Matthew Stafford coming back to go. Detroit's vulnerable, and that's why that loss last night hurts.
I'm not worried. Listen, Green Bay's too banged up. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think Detroit at home handles them. I think, Green Bay couldn't even win when they had to beat them last year. I mean, what are you thinking?
They beat them this year though in Detroit.
Listen, that Zaire Alexander situation is an absolute mess. They're looking to move him. I
That
mean, that
was
was
crazy.
the dumbest mind blowing. I mean, he's a healthy scratch today because of listen, Green Bay's packed it in. They're not trying to win. They can't. Not with that decision.
I don't see Atlanta. Who's Atlanta play today?
Atlanta's got the Bears. They're in Chicago.
Who does Atlanta have next week?
Atlanta next week. It's probably a division game, aren't they all? They're at the Saints.
Yeah, I don't see Atlanta pulling it out.
I mean,
I
look,
don't see New Orleans pulling it out.
you lose 9-7 to Carolina, that you should get relegated.
I agree with you. And Minnesota's
think
got Green Bay. Minnesota's got Green Bay today, and who they have next week?
Minnesota.
Listen, I can't see Jaron Hall winning a football game, Drew.
Minnesota's at the Lions next week.
Brother.
They're at the Lions next week.
Lions?
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, we're talking about all these teams in this,
And they lost
bottom
Hopkins.
tier here that they're not really. It doesn't seem like they're looking to really win football games. Like I said, the Packers' decision, Falcons pulled the plug on the Ritter situation, even though they said they're going back to him now. It's Heineke again.
Arthur Smith is in.
Minnesota's going to Jaron Hall. I mean, listen, Arthur Smith is a brilliant genius. I mean, he was born into FedEx money. I mean, no one works harder than inheritance. So, I mean, he's allowed to fail. But I think that I think there's really only 7 teams trying to win to get in the playoffs, and I think there are 7 teams that we're going to see at the end.
That's what I'm saying. It makes it tough because New Orleans they could potentially get in, but it's just like it all depends what happens today with Green Bay and Minnesota. It's really hard to decipher which team is going to take that last spot. But I know for sure the top 6 or the top 7.
I'd love to see New Orleans step up a defensive game because I'm playing against Baker Mayfield in way too many leagues.
But here's the thing, too, though. All right, so if let's just say if New Orleans wins today, right, the Bucs end up at the Panthers next week. They're going to get to 9, and the Bucs.
The Bucs are winning their division.
The Bucs already beat the Saints.
Yeah, the Bucs are already winning. They're going to win the division.
That's the 4 again. It's going to be the same game as last year.
Yeah, it's going to be Dallas against Tampa
with no Tom Brady, which should make things easier, theoretically. Seattle should win today. The Rams should win today. The Rams have the Niners next week. Seattle, I would assume, probably has Arizona based on that.
So it would be Lions and Rams.
Seattle's at Arizona. Yeah,
Golf versus LA.
You know who'd be really happy to avoid the Rams?
Stafford versus Detroit. Golf versus
LA.
The
Rams would give fits to? The Eagles, because their secondary is trash. And you put those 2 receivers out there with that quarterback, they can should go in there and win that game.
Listen, let's not discount the Detroit running game, which actually was pretty solid yesterday. If they actually stayed with it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't see the Giants winning today at all.
I don't think the Seahawks winning is. I think they got a tough game today. I think Pittsburgh will win that game. So, yeah.
I don't know that Seattle's healthy for the most part.
Well, Kenny Walker's banged up, so he's playing.
He's playing today, though.
You want to hear a funny stat? Stephon Diggs has more tackles this year than Von Miller.
Yeah, Von Miller's he's inactive today. He's a healthy scratch.
And when he signed there, it was like, oh, Von Miller.
Stephon Diggs.
Well, hold on, Brian, hold on.
He needs to worry about catching touchdowns.
Von Miller killed it last year, bro. Von Miller killed it before he tore his ACL.
Yeah, but
he's got issues outside of football right now. That's you can tell is impacting his game.
But
give me your 6 and your 7. If we assume Tampa wins the division, give me your 6 and your 7.
Rams and Seattle. I think they both win today. I think they both, I think they're the only 2 teams left that are really actually trying to play outside of maybe New Orleans.
Real quick for me, yeah, the top 7, I'm with Brian, right, as it is right now. Yeah. The 8th, I'm with Quig, man. It's just, can we just get rid of it? I mean, it's just like there really isn't a team that I want to pick.
Only the top 7 get in.
Yeah, the 7. So you're at the 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, top 7. Top 7 are in.
Yeah, you're good. So then let me ask you a question. Can Seattle go into Philly and beat the Eagles? They beat them at home.
Yes, 1,000%.
Can the Rams go into Detroit and beat Detroit?
Yes, 1,000%.
Can the Cowboys go? Can Tampa beat the Cowboys at home?
No.
Listen. Wait, what?
Can Tampa beat the Cowboys at home?
Tampa is at home.
I know.
Tampa is at home.
Yeah, can Tampa beat the Cowboys at home?
Sure.
Oh, I must have misheard you.
Yes.
Well, let's assume that the 5, 6, and 7. Well, I can't even assume that. Actually, never mind. I mean, there's a legitimate shot here that it's Eagles Cowboys again. Anyway, in that game, I don't think the Eagles want that.
Well, that's beneficial for the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys could beat the Eagles in Philly. Yes.
Till the title game, you want to avoid the Niners till the title game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Cowboys really want the 6 or the 7 to get a win. They don't care who. If one of them wins, it's way better.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Which the Rams can do.
Let's get into the games today, and we will kick it off in Buffalo as the 4-11 Pats visit the 9-6 playoff bound, very likely Buffalo Bills laying 14. The over-under is 40 points. New England has allowed just 15.7 points per game and 265 yards per game since week 10. That's the second best team in the league in that time frame. Buffalo has owned December and January. 18-2 since 2020, 9-1 at home. I think there's a very good reason that they are a 2-touchdown favorite today. However, those of you who are out there betting would like to know that Buffalo is 0-7 against the spread in their past 7 games as a double-digit favorite, including the playoffs. They might not cover 14.
Double-digit favorites really don't cover in the NFL. It's just crazy because of the parity. There's always some kind of fluke like that. I mean, they could be up by 17 and New England
division game,
a meaningless touchdown at the end. It's always somewhere. So
stupid ass garbage time.
I mean, everything that is pointing to is that this should be a blowout by the Bills. But I mean, and has New England scored over 7? Recently. I mean, I think they average like 7 points per game or on offense. I mean, it's so you're staring at a 21-7 game, but or as New England only allowing 15-7 per game.
New England's
17-3, maybe.
They've won 2 of 3. Break up the Patriots, all right.
I'm taking
those games. They've scored 21, 17, and 26.
I think I made a big time mistake in my fantasy dynasty league that I'm in. I've been in for a long time. I sat the Cowboys for Buffalo's defense. I hope it doesn't bite me in the ass. Yeah, dude. Buffalo should win this game, like we already talked about.
Listen, that's definitely not going to bite you, Drew. I mean, you got Zappy against against Goff. I mean, I think Zappy makes a few mistakes today.
Yeah. We'll see, man. It's going to be. It should be an easy game for Buffalo. Just control the clock and do the thing.
Do you think? Probably not, right? But do you think there's anything in Buffalo that might be looking ahead to Miami?
I wouldn't be.
They better not be.
It shouldn't be, but I wouldn't be surprised because it's always how it is. I mean, this is a game. Listen, you're a 14-point game. This game shouldn't be close. Does Josh Allen make a couple throws to keep it close? Maybe. Make some mistakes he's forcing. Does Belichick just take away the run completely and force Allen to make mistakes? That could be something that it does too. And they just, control the ball. I know Stevenson is out, but Ezekiel Elliott has actually kind of been effective.
He's looked good this year.
He looked fine last year too. I mean, let's not say anything about it, but it's just a kind of thing. But it's a weird game. It's like I said, it seems like Buffalo is in a lot of these games where they should win by 21 points, but they stick around and win 14-3 or something
like the Giants game.
Correct.
I'll tell you, I do want to say something real quick, and I don't know, and God willing, my ultimate Christmas present does come true which I'm not going to say it into existence because I don't want to say it and jinx myself. But Ezekiel Elliott, I'm going to be on the campaign for him this offseason for the Chargers. I want that 1-2 punch, and I think he could deliver that for what we're looking for next year because I think we're starting fresh at that position. So, I just want to put a campaign out there because I actually watched a couple of his games. He looks good, bro. He's still versatile. I think one of his most underrated parts of his game is his hands. So, I mean, it would be something that the Chargers do need is the power back in the goal lines in the red zone, something that they didn't have this year that they desperately needed because that's one of the flaws for Eckler. He cannot just power through and get those touchdowns. So,
but he was a touchdown monster in short yards 2 years ago.
He was.
I think it's opportunity. I mean, for pound, he's one of the stronger players in the NFL. I wouldn't be on the bandwagon. Listen, Zeke for what he's getting paid is fine, and bringing him in, and I could see that.
I want to do this, Tony, for a score touchdown.
Listen, bud, it looks like you've been doing a lot of that, so you need to get back from the holiday season, all right?
The holidays.
Spike that one.
Such an asshole. Go get a tan, you piece of shit. I got that workout in, Di.
At least I'm consistent.
I mean,
I got that workout in.
Consistent he is. Yeah, this shouldn't be close. If it is, it's a problem for Buffalo, but Buffalo will do that to you. Possibly Justin Fields against his next team as the 7-8 Atlanta Falcons visit the 6-9 Chicago Bears, who are laying 3 at home. The over-under is a robust 38.5. Atlanta is averaging a league low 153 passing yards on the road, which they are today. The Bears have had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter in the last 3 losses where Justin Fields has started and finished the game. And they've blown it. Anthony, thoughts on that?
Bears should be 10-6, Brian. They really should. But today I like them today. I'm gonna take that half point down. I'm gonna take the Bears -2.5. I think it's gonna be cold. It's a little snowy out there in Chicago. I don't know if this Atlanta indoor team is ready for that. Bears defense has been playing really well. They got the running game going last week. So I expect the Bears win today. So, yeah, give me the Bears -2.5. And like I talked about earlier, I like Herbert today, +380, anytime touchdown. I think it's really good value. I got it early.
This is interesting. I mean, I think I kind of like Fields in the Falcons offense for what they have. And see what they got going on. So I mean, I don't know. See if they could showcase something. I don't know. This isn't a game that the Bears should win. They shouldn't win. They shouldn't be trying to win these games. But I think they are.
They are.
I think
they're improving. That's the thing.
I think that's they're playing themselves out of a top 10 pick, which is a big mistake. Well, thankfully Carolina is helping them out there. But you know what? I mean, we went into the season talking about 2 top 5 picks, and now they might not even get 2 top 10 picks. So I like the Bears. I like them in a game here. I think they do maybe just a little bit enough. DJ Moore, with a big run. Justin Fields with a big run. The one thing about DJ Moore that I didn't understand until a couple weeks ago is that he only had 1 rushing touchdown. I thought he was more, utilized than that. He only got any rushing touchdown 1 time in his career, which was interesting. I thought there was more of a gadget guy. Quick aside though, too, because I don't know everybody follows Adam Scheffler here. He just posted on Twitter a big bashing of the Brad Allen referee crew, and he said it's just been a mess and a mess and a mess. And he points out the phantom tripping call that they did against the Cowboys. That was a big play that called back a decent Tony Pollard run. So that's interesting too. So it just seems like the call last night in the 2-point conversion mess is just kind of opening up the Pandora's box for this Brad Allen fish.
Once you get caught making everything else gets looked at, and
everybody's piling on the rabbit like they used to do in the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yep. Drew, who you like today?
Huh?
Who you like today?
Oh yeah, I'm going Bears.
Boy.
After last week with Atlanta, I'm going Bears. Yeah, I think Justin Fields has a lot to play for, just from the certain aspect of what's been going on in that organization and what its future could be detailing. And I'm on the bandwagon now, as I said earlier, that I'm bandwagon trading him. And I think it's more beneficial for the Bears to trade him to attain more capital and to be on the rookie contract once again with Caleb Williams. I know the Bears have, I don't know how much, 112 in cap.
A lot of money.
So you could be very astute and smart with your cap room and make the decisions you need to fill all the holes that you want to fill to improve this team. I honestly believe the North is not that far gone of a conclusion of team being superior to them. I think they can make the moves that they need to make. What I don't like is what was announced last night or early this morning was Flu is coming back next year. The coaching staff, I don't like that at all. Especially if you have a new quarterback coming in, Brian. We just talked about it right now, and Tony alluded to it earlier before he made fun of me. Was the fact that you get all these different coordinators for a quarterback, right? It's annoying, right? Yes. Herbert's going to be on his third one in the NFL. It's going to be his sixth since his last year in Oregon. So I mean, it's a lot of changing. Find a coach and find a scheme that fits Caleb Williams to the right ship and the right production that you need for him to grow and become successful. I just don't see that with this coaching staff.
I don't mind Eberflus. I mean, this team has responded. I mean, they were the worst team in the league in the beginning of the year. Their defense couldn't stop anybody. They were giving up 28 points a game. They've progressed. They've gotten better. And because of that, they're going to keep this guy. And there's a lot more to it, man. Listen, the players in that locker room don't want to get rid of Justin Fields. So there's a pushback right now in Chicago that players are on Justin Fields' side. So, I mean, if anything, bringing Eberflus back, I mean, is all indication to me that they may keep Justin Fields. Because it makes
those players don't pay him, though. They don't sign the checks.
Tony, I understand that, but I mean, it just don't make sense. Why would you not just clean house to everybody and, draft this quarterback, get a coach that is compatible with the quarterback? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Because the old adage, right, and it says sort of like fans. If you start listening to fans, you're going to join them. It's the same thing with the players. You're talking about these guys, they're playing emotionally. I'm sure they like Justin Fields, but that's why, I think a couple of the guys we're talking about, I think it was on that awful ESPN morning show now. They were talking about keeping Justin Fields because he's on his rookie contract and bringing in Caleb Williams anyway. Now that's a recipe for absolute disaster. But it's natural for the players to back their guy. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when it's time to Justin Fields comes to that contract where they got to pay him the big money because he's off his rookie deal, half those players aren't even going to be on the roster.
But Justin Fields isn't going to demand top tier quarterback money.
Why wouldn't he?
They also not.
Well, I hope. Well, it's a good thing you're not an NFL agent, because there's guys out there that don't deserve a dollar that demand top tier money.
Who would you rather pay $40 million to, Justin Fields or Danny Dimes?
Well, Justin Fields.
Okay, so Danny, he's like, well, this guy's making $40 million. I don't get $45 million. It's always a can you top it.
Yeah, you don't bring the market, bro.
But that's the truth.
I mean, that's
why Dak's gonna get paid more.
It is.
In this situation, I'm talking about them keeping the coach is an indication
you walk in
that they could keep Justin Fields. That's all I'm saying. Is it's more about the coach. I'm like, why are you keeping a coach?
I hear you. I hear you. So that's why it didn't make sense to me why they're keeping him.
It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things in Chicago that don't make sense. You're not going to pay Justin. You're not going to pay Justin Fields $40-some million as Daniel Jones gets, because that's what he's going to do. The negotiation for Fields' contract is very easy. You walk in with some of these trash can quarterbacks that are making $40 million. You put their contract and say, I want $2 more than what they're making. Okay. I did it 2 weeks ago in my thing. I said, I want to make $1 more than what that guy's making, and then I'll be happy. And that's fine. It's a very easy negotiation. Now, with the quarterback and everything, with what who your head coach should be and everything like that, they're already committed to him. So, and they're not committed to Justin Fields, because if they were, we wouldn't hear these rumors.
You know, Derek Carr's making 37.5, right?
Exactly. You know,
Tannehill's making 29.5. What do you think Fields wants?
Yeah. No, and you know what? And you're just talking about that, and you know that's just normal inflation. I mean, those guys
45 to 50.
Yeah,
45 to 50,
which is amazing for a guy who does he have 10 wins in his career?
Well, you can blame that on a team too. You know, you can blame that on a team.
I know. I know.
No, I mean, look at what's Jalen Hurts.
That's why.
What's Jalen Hurts' contract?
Jalen Hurts, his average per year is 51.
Okay, and Jones is a little over 40, right?
Jones is 40 on the nose.
So he's going to want somewhere in between there.
I think Caleb Williams is going to make this difficult for Chicago. He might. I think this is going to be a disaster. To be honest,
if they end up taking Drake May at 1, are you upset?
Yeah. Yes.
What?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Why would they take Drake May?
Because if they can't take Caleb Williams because he won't play there.
Oh.
No.
I will say this: in this game,
there are stuck there for 4 years. If you don't,
Caleb Williams isn't good. Caleb Williams is not good enough to demand where he plays. If there is even
I've been saying that
a hint of
50,
that,
50. It's 50-50 chance that he's going to be good. It's not guaranteed. None of this is guaranteed. You see it every year.
But if you're the Bears, the end game here is to get the much you can get out of Justin Fields, and there's a market there for him. There's a market there for him for a team to trade for him.
But Drew, why is there a market for him?
Because of bad quarterback play.
Exactly, and that's what and
you got guys like Desmond Riddler starting at Atlanta,
exactly
in Pittsburgh.
You know, and
he's way better than
these guys. Zach Wilson, these guys are given opportunities, and
Zach Wilson.
Fields has shown some sort of improvement, you know, and then you see guys like CJ Stroud are actually having immediate success. It sets up the timetable for even more of these quarterbacks to go. So, like, there's plenty of teams out there that need quarterbacks.
1,000%, I agree with you.
There are not many games when I can say, you know what, Eberflus is the best coach on the field, but in this one, he absolutely is.
I just keep envisioning the haul of picks you can get for that number 1 pick.
Sure. You saw it last year.
Listen, if the Bears traded down out of that number 1 spot for a haul and stayed in the top 5 and got, you know, a premier, you know, player like Marvin Harrison Jr. or, you know, somebody else, and then took a quarterback in like the late second round or I mean late first round, early second round, whatever pick they get, I wouldn't be mad at that at all, because you give Fields some competition that isn't a direct competition. Right, if you pull up the teams that are in the playoffs,
get a guy like Bo Nix, draft like Bo Nix late.
Listen, if you look at a guy like Bo Nix, right, he's the perfect archetype for a guy like Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson, who are older quarterbacks who have a lot of experience. That their number 1 asset for most part is poise and what they did in leadership. And Bo Nix definitely fits that mold. And if you bring in a guy like Bo Nix, you're not putting that immediate pressure on Justin Fields, you know. So I mean, listen, like I said, Brian, if you pull up the list of the teams that are in the playoffs, just go NFC for shits and giggles. Pull up the NFC list if you have it still up there.
I get it.
Let's
see.
That's AFC.
I got it.
There you go.
Brock Purdy, not a first rounder. Jalen Hurts, second rounder. Jared Goff, number 1 overall pick, shouldn't have been number 1 overall pick, in a new position. Baker Mayfield, we see he's been a bust. Dak Prescott, 4th round draft pick. Stafford, number 1. Geno Smith, number 1. So just because you have a number 1 pick,
was Geno
show me the number 1 pick.
Was 2.
What's that?
No, Geno was the 1.
Geno who?
No, Geno Smith was a 39th overall pick for the.
No,
for,
Geno Smith
Yeah.
wasn't a first round. Geno Smith wasn't a first round pick.
Yeah.
That's my point. There's not one quarterback in the playoffs that is the number 1, 2, or 3 pick with their team that's in the playoffs. Not one. So
with their team that drafted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
exactly. So I mean, like you're looking at like it's not an end all be all.
You can keep going down the list. Shit, Minnesota's winning with freaking
Kirk
their
Cousins,
sixth quarterback.
Justin Rigger, Jordan
If-
Love, Derek Carr, Justin Fields is the only one who's top 3 pick.
I think this is a no-brainer for the Bears if Patrick Mahomes never happened. I think they keep Justin Fields, they go with it, but I think that Patrick Mahomes haunts that organization. I really do.
Here's Tony.
It's better to have a good team.
Tony, to push back what you said though about the Bears and their mentality of trading back and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. right and then getting a Bo Nix if they wanted to. But if you do that, you better walk into the draft knowing that you're going to have to sign Fields and get it done and over quick instead of waiting another year. Because I believe it's 5th-year options next year, right?
He's got one more
his
year.
4th year.
Yeah, he's got
4th year option, and then 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to pay him now. Like Brian always says, let's pay now instead of waiting till the last option, or you're going to be in this tug of war where it's going to be okay. Let's franchise tag him like Dallas did with Dak, and I think that kind of bit Dallas in the ass from a cap room perspective. And that's why I had to get rid of Amari. So it's just like, it's just I would sign Fields
because it's half the distance to the goal. The penalty is not 5 yards. Within 10 yards, it is half the distance to the goal. That's why. To answer your question, Pete, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5.
And while we went off topic of Justin Fields real quick, let me add this. So I talked about Trent Brown earlier today. He was vocally outspoken against the Patriots. So what the Patriots did is made him a healthy scratch, costing him $6.5 million in playing time bonus.
Yep. Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Yep. It's a business at the end of the day.
$6.5 million.
He said he was going when he talked about his free agency. He said that he was doing himself a disservice not to see what opportunities are out there just at this point. So they just cost him $6.5 million.
Oh my god!
Sometimes a closed mouth does get fed.
Oh my god, dude!
Belichick.
Oh my god!
That's.
Oh,
But listen, they have trouble finding free agents, right? And that's exactly why. And
that shows you the New England thing in a nutshell. Is people don't like playing for Belichick that are
Exactly.
They're not rewarding their players. There's a reason why you can't get certain guys there. Well, they're not going to do anything until Belichick leaves. And if the succession plan is actually what they're talking about, it's just going to be more of the nonsense.
Can you tell the people what the succession plan is so people can be educated?
Oh, dickhead offense coordinator McDaniels.
Yep.
He's coming back.
Yep.
That's what they said. I mean, listen, maybe they're going to let him record games. I mean, it's funny. He had.
Oh my god.
I mean, he was 6-0. Like, who was it? What was it? Crowder, the linebacker Crowder that was talking about it.
Crowder on Brandon Marshall's podcast.
Listen, we knew everything was going. We thought this guy was a great coach. Next thing you know, we get caught. Blah blah blah. We don't know what's going on. We finished 5-11 or whatever it was. I mean,
what a clown, dude.
The 7-8 Las Vegas Raiders visit the 8-7 Colts, who are laying 4 over-unders 42.5. Since Antonio Pierce has taken the spot, the Raiders have allowed the fewest points per game of the most defensive touchdowns. Shane Steichen, if he is to lead the Colts to the playoffs, would be the 5th straight Colts head coach to make the playoffs in year 1. There seems to be a trend there.
Wow.
I'm impressed by Shane Steichen. I think the Eagles desperately miss Shane Steichen. The fact that you are in the spot without your Anthony Richardson at quarterback, you have Gardner Minshew. It's not a shot against Minshew. It is that it's just not Anthony Richardson. That was not your plan, but they're finding a way to make it work. Jonathan Taylor for spurts in spots of the year. They're 8-7 and they're here, favored to get to 9-7 to lock in a winning record. That's impressive to me. So I like the Colts in this game. I think they cover the 4. I think there's a lot of hype around the Raiders, but coming off that that big win over the Chargers because they put up a lot of points.
Thank you, Raiders.
Yep. I'm
You got
going
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
That's
The Chiefs.
well, that one too. But I think that was more the Chiefs screwing it up, and I think that they admitted that.
Listen, talk about some fancy pain here, Brian. I mean, with
Go ahead.
that
2 seconds.
Raiders defense,
I need 30 seconds. I'll be back.
I benched the Raiders defense last week because they were going against the Chiefs, thinking
Of
that
course.
and I picked up
course
the
people
Eagles.
would.
I picked up the Eagles to go against the Giants because they got Tommy
Yeah.
Cutlets who isn't very good, and it wound up costing me the game. So listen, what Antonio Pierce is doing with the Raiders, you gotta like it because they finally have some direction. They finally have some heart. And I know Drew, you don't have to like it because you're a Chargers fan, but at the same
I
time,
like it.
just from an overall perspective, it sees. Now they got to get they got to get their offense kind of squared away a little bit. I mean, that run first without Josh
Yes.
Jacobs, Amir White actually
Yeah.
had a nice little season, in filling duty. You really have to import that. But I think this is a game where the Colts want to take the next level. This is a game that they have to win. John Taylor has to get going. He had an early touchdown last year, then did kind of nothing. I mean, last week, then did kind of nothing. Then when you're looking at the Colts, you got Pittman back. And you got to give them credit for doing what they're doing with Minshew Mania out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to see what goes on. I like the Colts in this game. I like the under. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring game. I think the defense. I don't think the Raiders' passing attack with Aiden O'Connell is going to exploit that poor secondary of the Colts. So I like the Colts and I like the under.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go real quick. Tony, yeah, I could put my hatred aside and appreciate, Antonio Pierce. I'm happy for him. I'm also happy for the intern GM. He's getting a shot, and this team looks like they're rooting around him. They're playing hard football compared to when Josh McDaniels was there. So I mean, it's crazy how one person can change an organization, and the toxic that was placed in Josh in this organization is now gone. I hope that guy never gets a head coaching job ever again. He's one of the worst head coaches ever hired. And we could put him in the line with Freddie Kitchens and all that and never offensive coordinator, go ahead and do your thing in New England if you want to go do that. But whatever, dude.
Where would this Raiders team be, Drew? Where would this Raiders team be if they never got rid of their coach that they all loved? And
Bashula?
Yeah,
Rich Bisaccia.
They loved him, and he kind of is in the same mold as Antonio Pierce, hard-nosed, defensive
contenders.
And they kind of went, they kind of screwed. They said, "All right, everybody loves you. You're doing a great job. All right, but we got a name, Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. When are we going to start holding Mark Davis accountable? Like it's going to the point now. Now the talk this morning. I'll just talk about it. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm going to talk about it. The talk this morning that Brian said this morning about Jim Harbaugh hiring the agent that is used that's good friends with Tom Brady. I mean, now it's okay. Is Harbaugh going to go to Vegas, or is Harbaugh going to go to the Chargers? And does Vegas and Davis make that same mistake, or do they stick with what's working for them? I don't know what the Raiders' record is since that Pierce came in, but what I see on the field is players playing nonstop till the whistle is blown. Just like we talk in high school time to my boys. Play like it's your last play. Play like you have nothing left else to give. Leave everything on the field. That's what I've been seeing these last couple of weeks. The Raiders won with Devontae Adams going getting one catch, and Devontae Adams didn't complain about it. That's what you need in an organization to win. So why would I want to get rid of that? I want to bring that back next year. It's the same thing they should have done 2 years ago when they beat the Chargers because dumbass called timeout. It's the same thing. Why get rid of somebody who you're playing hard for? I don't understand that logic. But just for today, I'm going Raiders tone. I'm the opposite of you. I agree with everything you said about the Colts. Minshew probably is the best quarterback in the NFL, backup quarterback in the NFL. But there's a guy that's not being mentioned, man. Max Crosby. That guy is just a train, dude. He is just a train. I think he's super underrated. Doesn't get enough national spotlight, and I hope he does the next couple of years. But I think the Raiders are going to be 500 after today, boys. Aiden O'Connell, I know he's not great, Tone. I know they got something they need to fix in the offseason. It's going to be a quarterback to bring into that team. But Raiders, they could be scary next year. So we'll see what happens. But I like the Raiders team a lot. So I'm gonna go Raiders today.
I don't know what this comment is about Rich Versace, but yeah,
That's probably the coach's name.
is that? Oh, it's
probably
not.
the Raiders coach.
It's Versace with a B, not
Yeah.
Versace.
I knew that was going.
Wow.
I think that's why David said, "Hey, shout out to David, man, thanks for showing up."
The Colts could be a playoff team, but a team with better odds to get in is the Los Angeles Rams, who are also 8-7, but they are visiting the New York Giants, who are 5-10, laying 6 at MetLife, over under 43.5. Kyron Williams is the first rip.
Anthony Pitt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sorry.
I thought you did.
I do like the Colts in that game. 4 is a little too much for me. I see it as a field goal game. I agree with Tone. I really like the under in that game. And I put a little something on Jonathan Taylor, 2 touchdowns today, plus 400.
Sorry,
Kyron
Brian.
Williams, the first Rams running back to get 1,000 yards since Todd Gurley in 2018. The Giants are 3-1 when scoring 18 or more points, which means that in most of their games this year, they have not scored 18 or more points.
Yeah, that's a great stat if you're like 5 weeks into the season.
Yeah. The Rams, says ESPN, have a 73.8% chance to make the playoffs. And I think that I don't think they can punch their ticket today, and they can't. Actually, they can. If the Rams win and Seattle loses, they're in. If the Rams win and Green Bay, Minnesota tie, they're in.
Oh, that's right, because the Rams swept the Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, listen, the Rams have to win.
Rams are going to win today.
They went back to Tyrod Taylor. The Tommy Cutlets experiment was thankfully put to rest. I don't think I don't think there's going to be much resistance in New York today, or New Jersey more specifically, for the Rams to go out there. Stafford should be able to chuck it all up and down the field against their secondary. Kyren Williams, he continues to put up big numbers. I got him, I think it was like over 99 yards rushing and receiving combined today in a nice little bet. The only thing that's frustrating me is like who's going to step up, Puka or Cooper, because Cooper Kupp looked like he's went above and beyond in 2 games, and then Puka just had a huge game yesterday. So it's just kind of like pick your poison, really. And the run on the same route tree and that kind of stuff too, which is interesting. So it's kind of like they took a mold of Cooper Kupp and kind of made him into what Puka is, and that's a scary compliment for the rest of the NFL.
Also, Robinson's been getting a lot of looks too in the Rams, so he's coming on too. I see today he's got
Demarcus Robinson. Yeah.
Marcus Robinson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he's the guy that they need to stretch the field that they thought they were getting out of and Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell. Yeah, Brian. Rams today, and I agree with you, Brian. I think Stafford's going to eat it up today. He's one of the big guys. I think all of us would agree for fantasy purposes. If you have him, you should have a smile on your face today. I also think Kyren Williams is also another guy that it's probably one of the biggest regrets I have in the past couple of years that I didn't put a bid in for him for the waiver wire. Absolute dominant in all phases as a running back in the game. Last thing I want to say is Demarcus Robinson, what a story for him. And I think he's on I want to say 5-game TD streak. So I took anytime touchdown for him today to keep that streak going.
We mentioned that Kyler Murray walked into the link today wearing a Sidney Crosby Penguins jersey. They're 3-12. The Eagles are 11-4, and the Eagles are laying 12 and a hook, over under 48.5. Murray has 18 games in his career, since 2019, with at least 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. Eagles defense has not been great, especially in the back end. They are allowing a 46.4% conversion rate on third down. That is 30th in the NFL. And for all the people who seem to hold out hope that last year's Eagles are going to just suddenly pop up after that losing streak, I just don't see it. This is a very different team than the team that was last year. I'm not even talking about the regression with the quarterback. Their defense is now a sieve, and they can't stop anybody. That defense last year was excellent. They got pass rush at a quarterback, which helped their secondary. I mean, 70 sacks, this, that, and a third. I don't see it, right? So the Eagles of last year are dead. This is who you have right now. And frankly, I think that they are by no means a tough out in the playoffs. I think that they could absolutely be overtaken by a lower seed, depending who it is. And I think if they end up with the Cowboys in the second round, the Cowboys might end up winning the title game for the first time in 30 years. So again, like you look at Jalen's rushing numbers, they're lower, but he has all these touchdowns from, a half yard in. I don't know what to make of this team. They should be better than they are. 11-4 is 11-4, but they should look better than they look.
Well, they had a stretch of some very nice wins. When they had that gauntlet of a schedule right there, and then now they have a stretch of some easy wins, and they haven't looked good in some of the defense we've talked about. I think what it is how much are we underplaying the dissension in the locker room, the issues that are going on there within the team. I think that's what they need to get back from the team last year is people kind of playing together. The AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. I mean, listen, you post ad nauseum about Jalen Hurts not throwing touchdowns. So it's also about
the people it needs to bother.
Well, I understand why you do it, but my point is it's not just about Jalen Hurts not throwing touchdowns. It's also about AJ Brown and Smith and Goddard not catching touchdowns, and this gets under their skin just as well. I mean, it's just kind of it's just kind of one of those things where it kind of permeates through the whole team. I mean, DeAndre Swift has looked very good this year, but he doesn't get the touches. I mean, he has every game that he's ripping off a few good runs, and it's like, okay, but we're not going to use him anymore. I think today that they have to kind of have a come to Jesus moment in this in this game and kind of figure out what they are and what they want to be going forward. I think the Eagles could be a very good team, especially offensively, if they commit to running the ball, play action, hitting the big plays, that kind of stuff, not trying to be cute and with one of the best offensive lines that there is. They just have to kind of go out there and play power football. If they did that when they played the Cowboys, they'd have a much more success because you can see that the Cowboys have struggled with the run, but it just doesn't. It seems like I don't know if Sirianni's just coked up out of his mind too much or what's going on, but they just can't get a game plan formula to stick with it. And I'm a Hurts fan. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a great football player. His shortcoming is, the passing of the ball, and when he's forcing certain plays to happen, it's not going to be a good thing. Luckily for them, the Cardinals are coming down. They're banged up. There's not much out there talent-wise. They're really looking for next season. Kyler Murray's going to run around. Trace McBride should have a good game today. I mean, Eagles don't defend well. But I think the Eagles should be up 20 on this game, and it kind of
That's the point I've always made about this guy is his problem is passing the football. Like I mean, he's a quarterback. Like you can't give me he's the MVP of the league and all this nonsense when you can't. That's not your strength. And Chris will say, they're going to run the ball today. They should run the ball. They have a very good offensive line. They should use it. But it's just like I look at him and I say, like, you've got all this talent around you and you cannot. He has 2 touchdown passes this month. Like why? Like if you're supposed to be this $250 million guy, what the hell are they paying you for if this is who you are?
Yeah, but it's not all him though, Brian. It's a lot of it's the play calling. It's a lot of it's that kind of nonsense. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get the direction you're going in with it, but and if they were winning how they should have been winning, and you had that stretch where you can't have a stretch where you got a receiver out there catching 150 yards every freaking game for 5 weeks or whatever it was with AJ Brown, all of a sudden getting 1 catch for 9 yards or garbage time catching. There's something inherently wrong with the process.
There's an issue. Like there's an issue in the locker room. There's a cancer, and I think what we saw last couple weeks ago, last week, AJ Brown coming out and saying what he said on tweets is something that should remain in house, and it's not. So I think there's like Quig was alluding to. There's some issues I think that are looming in that locker room, probably from a chemistry standpoint. But regardless of the fact, go look in the early in the season and look in the middle of the season and their gauntlet of a schedule. The Eagles really sneaked out like 3 or 4 or 5 wins, and there weren't wins like for instance the Bills beating the Cowboys. How convincingly it was. The Eagles sneaked out, and I think in the long run that's going to bite them in the ass and that's what I've been saying all year.
Mm-hmm.
They have no identity. I think Hurts is still hurt. I think it's something. I know he's not running like he used to because there's a knee issue, which is kind of shocking to me that they. No, it's not. But I don't know, man. It's just a box of mystery. I cannot pinpoint the issue of 2022 Eagles, the 2023 Eagles. Shane Steichen and the defensive coordinator are gone, right? Matt Patricia is now calling the defense. There's like so many different issues that are happening with this team that it like you're supposed to make improvements. Everyone kept on talking about, Jalen Carter, they got this, they got that. Bro, their defense doesn't look good at all. Like, you go in the playoffs, you play against the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cowboys. All three of those teams, I think all of us would agree, have a above average to good offense that will deteriorate that secondary.
And I think Josh Sweat hasn't gotten a sack in 4 weeks.
He hasn't gotten a sack.
And listen, what's the old adage, right? Winning cures all. When they're winning, a guy here and there not getting catches or whatever like that doesn't become an issue. But when you're losing, then it's also it's a huge issue. And what you're talking about, Drew, with the schedule, what they were at the time when they were beating Kansas City and beating Buffalo and not looking good doing it, and it's like, well, if they, if one thing or another broke the wrong way, that they could have lost that game. At that time, it was like, well, they were finding ways to win. But now, as the season progresses, you're learning that, well, these are really actually major flaws, I mean, and that's what's getting exposed. And I think, we get a pretty good vibe around here with the Eagles fans and they're scared. The Eagles fans are scared. They're seeing these as like not being a good football team. And, I've heard the worst 11-4 team. I've heard this, I've heard that. Like, they're quick to jump on their team and bash them. But I think that the exposure that they're getting is going to be real. But here's the thing. Congratulations to NFL, great gift wrap them a Christmas present, right? A home game against an awful football team, and then a game against an awful football team next. And all it takes is two nice little wins, and it gets everything kind of the momentum that they need going into the playoffs. And that's what's going to happen. So these next two games against bad football teams is going to show a lot where they should, what potential that they have.
The Eagles they have 40 sacks this year, which is tied with the Raiders. Last year they had 70. They were 15 clear of the second team.
Yeah.
What Quick said though, it makes it like, I understand it makes sense to a lot of people. Winning cures everything. But, bro, like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, who's been hurt but been a big disappointment this year, all of them know what's going to happen. I mean, Jason Kelce just said it the other day on a quote. Oh, sorry, Swift. You got to the half-yard line or the goal line. You know what's going to happen. Sorry you're not going to get your touchdown. Bro, you know that when you signed up. Even though you were traded, you know that what the Eagles are going to do. Schematically, it's going to be Jalen Hurts running it in most of the time at the one. I mean, Tony said it last year, though. I mean, the trademark of this show last year is we help people buy mortgages because we know that Jalen Hurts is going to get the majority of the rushes and the majority of the touchdown carries. Like, Brian has some credence to what he is saying where it comes to Jalen Hurts is getting known. His stats are getting what's the word I'm looking for? Is getting
He's a household name because they throw him in the end zone at the one.
The production is there for him last year, throwing the ball and running the ball. This year, I think all of us could say he's taken a step down.
Well, he got paid.
So. Now, is that injury related or is that Shane Steichen related? What's the identity here? What's the issue? That's what I'm trying to look for. I can't even get it from my own damn brother because he doesn't know. I don't even know. It's just.
I think weird. So. I think last year, if you looked at some of the games, some of his passing numbers were inflated. I know if I remember specifically the Pittsburgh Steelers game where he went insane. But like I think one of the plays, the defensive back fell down. The other one was like a 5-yard hitch route that went for 70 yards and something like that.
Yeah.
I think he had the benefit of that kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff doesn't happen all the time. They're the outliers, and I do think it's a lot about play calling and everything like that too.
But you know what's insane, right? So here's the difference. he is less efficient this year. So he's only 65 yards short of his total for last year passing.
For passing.
I mean, he'll break it today. He had 22 touchdowns.
Well, that's because of that midseason, this year midseason where he just went insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very up and down, and it depends. And again, we talk about this team, right? They are two they are two single plays away from being 9-6. Buffalo and Kansas City.
Don't forget the New England game.
That one too. Dak Prescott, like a moron, walks out of bounds on a 2-point conversion. All these things, like they've been extreme.
I don't think that's what happened, Bri. But okay,
whatever. They have been on the right side of the coin a lot this year. I don't think they're as good as their record indicates that they are.
But if you look at Hurts's passing stats since the Dallas game on November 5th, because that's after his big run.
Yeah,
he's thrown for over 300 yards one time, hit 298 against San Fran mock-up duty, and the 300 yards was last week. I mean, those other times he didn't break 200 yards.
Correct.
So, like, it's a
I don't know, man.
Since Halloween, he's broken 300 yards one time last week by 1 yard.
With all that talent he has, it just doesn't make any sense.
That's all I've ever said to me, right? Okay, so again, I am not going to bring up old arguments, but I'm going to just make the correlation, right? When I said that Wentz did more with less in Philly than Dak did in Dallas,
move
right?
on. No,
what I said was that, again, they had no one to throw the ball to, and Wentz found a way to get it done. Same correlation goes into this, in that you have this great offensive line, these wonderful receivers, this tight end, and this is what you're doing. So what are you doing, right? Is it you or is it the system?
Hurts made the playoffs 2 years ago, Brian.
Who what?
With nobody. Hurts made the playoffs 2 years ago with nobody.
As what? Like a 7? Like
you can't, but Brian, you can't go and say, "Oh,
you can." Playoff teams stink too.
But Jalen Hurts has this. Jalen Hurts had nobody 2 years ago, and they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card.
They were 9-8 that year.
Yeah, and they had nobody.
Hold on. They were 9-8.
They didn't have AJ Brown.
They didn't. No, the top receiver was it Devontae Smith? Devontae Smith.
Probably.
They had Devontae Smith and Dallas rookie. So
daughter was sharing with Ertz, probably.
Didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Of course, Jalen Hurts ran for 800 yards that year. Anyway, they're going to win today because they're playing the Cardinals, not because they're any good. That's, I guess, where I'll leave it. And you've been quiet.
I'm trying to get my bets in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we interrupting you? Go ahead.
No, I mean, real quick, I just think we don't realize the ridiculous run the Eagles have gone on. I mean, they've had a lot of wins, and you hit this wall, and I think the changes hurt, like we talked about. So they're still a good team. So
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I seen they do the man of the at the Philly interviewing like Eagles fans, and they were asking them Doug Peterson or Nick Sirianni, and it was like 10-2. Everybody wanted Sirianni. How quickly they forget who got them their only ring.
Yeah,
insane. They've had a nice run, and you could say they're 22-4 with under Sirianni and all this other nonsense or whatever the hell it is. But like, they forget what WP did for them that quick. It's great.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep.
NFC South big game. 7-8 Saints, 8-7 Bucks, who can win the division. If they win today, they're a 2.5-point favorite. Over/under is 42. The Saints have been allowing 151 yards on the ground, 4.9 yards per carry since week 8. Not great. If the Bucks win today, it will be the third straight NFC South championship for the first time in franchise history. I think they probably pull it off. Listen, Baker Mayfield's been a revelation for them, right? I mean, he's played really, really well for them. And they're talking about making him the long-term guy. Again, first overall pick in the draft, whether we agree with it or not, that's what it was. Hey, you found a guy like that. It's working with your system. Why upset the apple cart?
This is a tough game for the Buccaneers. I mean, New Orleans always gives them fits. I expect a low-scoring game. The over/under of 42 is probably what it is. Interesting to see how banged up Kamara is, because I know they were talking about what's going on.
Was it an illness?
What's that?
Wasn't it an illness?
Yeah, so we'll see how he comes from that. But listen, is this the game that Baker becomes Baker? Because Baker's been throwing phenomenal. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago he had his career high, and a lot of fantasy managers started him. I mean, you have Mike Evans, Godwin, White out of the backfield catching the ball has been phenomenal.
He's been really good. Yeah.
Really good.
I don't know. I like Tampa Bay to win the game here. It's interesting to see how much of a fight the Saints put up. Because it's definitely something that they could still be in it. Investing in Baker long term, though, I think is a mistake. I just don't think that that's what you set your franchise up. You set your franchise up to be in this situation every year, 8-7, 9-7, not that kind of stuff for the next few years if you re-sign Baker to anything. Which if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. But you know what? A franchise that just had Tom Brady as their quarterback, investing long term in Baker Mayfield, I can't think that you would want to settle for that mediocrity.
First and foremost, man, I love giving credit where credit is due. Shout out to Baker Mayfield for the year he's having. I mean, in regardless of what we think of him and him being a bust and him not working out in Cleveland, whatever those issues may be, I mean, for him to go to Carolina and be dog shit, but that team is completely dog shit, and then go to the Rams, have that that crazy Thursday night game that he did, not even knowing the offense for less than 24 hours in the game plan book. And then go to Tampa Bay. And I think we're overlooking the bigger issue here, the bigger compliment for him, which is Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is playing out of this world great this year. And he's already on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I think this season might have stamped it for him to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm happy for him. I know the issues he was going through in the offseason, not getting signed. Tampa Bay or him made that deal where if we don't get it done before the season starts, then I'm going to be a free agent unless you guys franchise tag me. I don't think they would do that to him, and I don't think he's coming back. I hope he does. I'd like to see him finish in Tampa Bay, but it's going to be interesting to see if he ends up being a free agent. But that's another topic for another day. Good for Baker. Good for Todd Bowles. Rachaad White. RB5 in fantasy this year. Complete surprise in my opinion. The defense is playing up to what it needs to. It's going to be a tough game today, but I think the Buccaneers are going to pull it out and they'll win the South today, Brian. So yeah, but I'm saying it sucks because I got Mike Evans in almost every league, and he's going against his arch nemesis today, and he's never really pans out good against Lattimore. So if I'm an owner of Rachaad White, or if I'm a manager of I shouldn't say owner. If I'm a manager of Chris Godwin,
you can say owner. You can say owner.
Yeah, it's
Chris Godwin is the guy I'll be looking at, Brian, a lot today for fantasy purposes.
I'll be right back.
all right.
I'm actually I'm going against you guys today. I've seen this morning heavy public money on the Buccaneers. I saw almost 70% of the public is on the Buccaneers today, and I do not roll that way. I think it's going to be a tough game, and I'm going to take the Saints here on the money line at plus 122. I think they go in and they beat Baker. They have a good defense. Ooh. So, yeah, give me the Saints today.
Apparently, the XFL and USFL have actually merged, and it's called the UFL, and it kicks off in the end of March.
Fun.
The XFL is dead again. Can't win. All right, we've got 20 minutes to go through.
Never will gonna win.
8 games in 20 minutes. Let's go. The 11-4 Niners visiting the 4-11 Commanders. Niners laying 2 touchdowns over under 49.5. The Niners are 7-1 on the road with short rest since 2017. The Washington Commanders have the 32nd ranked total in scoring defense, and there are 32 teams in the NFL. That's not great. San Francisco wins. I think that's probably not a concern. Do they cover?
Do they cover?
No. I'll take the Commanders plus 14. I don't,
Don't take the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Niners. Obviously.
Take the half point then if you're going to do that.
13.5.
13.5. Take the Niners.
Fine, man. I'll take 13.
Hey, you don't want to get screwed.
God.
You know.
Hey, Brian,
Listen, my Thursday night game, I had Garrett Wilson, Njoku, and Hall. They all had a phenomenal first quarter. They all missed the first quarter. I had Garrett Wilson over 50 and 50.5 yards. It looked like a lot. Cashed the ticket by halftime. Guess what? He finishes with 50 yards. I lost by the hook. That was $350 to slip right out the hand.
Disgusting.
That's so nasty.
You may remember that these two teams came in the league together. Expansion teams the same year. 2-13 Panthers, 8-7 Jags. Jags laying 4 at home for CJ Beathard starting. 36.5 is the number. Carolina has 3 straight wins against Jacksonville going back to 2011. Jacksonville has never lost a game against a team that is 10 or more games under 500. One of those streaks will end today. My bet is that Carolina loses. Although, again, CJ Beathard, I don't know. I think you're going to see a heavy day with Travis Etienne. I think they run the ball a ton today.
Yeah, this game here, I like the under. I don't see much going on in this game today. I do like an ATN anytime touchdown. Be honest, give me the Panthers here. I'll take the +4. I'll take that +4. I could see maybe like a 19-16 game here. So yeah, give me. I'm going to take the Panthers +4 today.
I'm ready to shake up the worlds and the heavens of the NFL. Carolina Panthers with the win today over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow, that would be
great. I'm taking a healthy dose of Chuba Hubbard today at the running back. Take the over on his rushing, and Carolina.
Game of the day, in my esteemed opinion, the 11-4 Miami Dolphins visiting the 12-3 Baltimore Ravens with the 1 seed in the AFC absolutely on the line. Baltimore laying 3.5, over under 46.5. Waddle will not play today. Mostert will not play today. Miami does lead the NFL with close to 31 points a game and over 411 yards every game. Baltimore, on the other side of the ball, leads the NFL in scoring defense, sacks, and takeaways. So quickly, you said, is Tua due for a concussion? Well, he's going to get hit today. Question is, will he be okay? This is a big game. I think Miami comes in hobbled. I think Baltimore wins as a result.
I agree, Brian. I mean, the Ravens are coming off a very impressive win. I mean, so are the Dolphins, but they're hobbled. Like you said, Ravens just riding high after taking out the Niners like they did. I think they continue to roll. To be honest, this is going to be I think the Ravens win by double digits today. I think this could be a boat race. Give me the Ravens. I love Gus Edwards today to score a touchdown. So, yeah, I'm rolling with the Ravens today. I think the Dolphins are going to have a tough time.
I can't see it being a boat race. I think this is a close game. I like Baltimore -3. I'm definitely buying a hook on that one. But you know what? That Dolphins defense, since Jalen Ramsey came back, is a different animal. I mean, they've been doing a little bit good. I do like the Ravens today, but I think it's going to be a close game.
And Gus Edwards today or Gabe Davis on the flex?
Gus Edwards.
I think Gus Edwards is Gus. Yeah.
I mean, Gus Edwards is going to get the volume. He's going to get the touches. I mean, obviously, Gabe Davis could hit that big catch for you and make you hate life. But at the same time, I mean, if you're playing today, you're playing for third or chance for the championship, and you need that consistent.
Yeah, when they get down there, they're giving Gus the ball when they get down there. So.
Yeah. No, Mitchell. I'm going Edwards. I know Justice Hill kind of scares you a little bit, Brian, with the rotation of running backs and the marker running the ball as well. I mean, but I'm still going to go Gus. For me, I'm with Tone. I think this game is going to be close. I don't see it being a boat race at all. Sorry, Ant. I know Kyle Hamilton being out is a game changer. The guy is a solid defender. Can play the nickel. Can play the corner. I mean, it's him being gone is going to hurt this defense a little bit. I know Waddle being out is going to also affect this offense just a little bit. Is Tyreek 100% healthy? I hope he is.
He looked good against Dallas. He should have caught that
He did
long
look
bomb against Dallas.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
did. It was hitting him
he
in the
looked good.
hands.
Yeah, most are being out. It's just a lot. They're banged up, man. But I think they're gonna have enough heart in for this game today. And unfortunately, I think the Ravens will pull it out by 3. So yeah, I got Ravens, but it's gonna be a close game.
Yeah, I'd say a 7 to 10 point game, not a blowout. You know, I mean, I think the Ravens win convincingly. I don't think it's going to be a copy of the Detroit game. That's for sure.
No trade play.
I think the Ravens win though.
No, I meant when Detroit played Baltimore.
Yeah, Detroit went in there and got boat
yeah.
raced. They got boat raced. Miami will get boat raced. Old Houston versus New Houston. 5-10 Tennessee Titans against the 8-7 Houston Texans. Very happy to see CJ Stroud's back, laying 4. Over-unders 44. Derrick Henry has 200-plus rushing yards and 2 touchdowns or more against the Texans 4 times in his career. Stroud's top 5 in yards per game, passing yards per attempt, and QB rating. Probably on his way to Offensive Rookie of the Year.
What did Henry do this year against them, though, bro?
I don't. Probably not a lot.
Shit.
Like
That's what I'm saying. This Houston's run defense is a different level this year. I mean, they're looking pretty good, and the Titans' run defense hasn't been horrible either. But you know, that's what I was interested to see. You know,
Oh, I didn't know that. Lattimore's out.
Latimore's out, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Tennessee.
Oh, Mike Evans.
I think Houston wins and covers, and they have to because they're in a playoff. We're in a playoff race as long as Stroud's himself. I think they do that. My question is he
Texans. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, Texans need to win. We already talked about this before, already in the beginning of the show. I'm not going to dwell on it. Thank God CJ Stroud's back. I think Houston knows that. They know that they're in the playoff race, and unlike the Denver Broncos, they're not going to convince their quarterback to sit. We need you, dog. We need you to play. We need you to win. And I think they're going to pull it out in Houston today. That stadium is going to be insane. It's going to be hyped today. And I think CJ is just going to do enough. But like we said earlier in the show, when a guy asked a question, we all, besides you, Brian, me, and Ant, and Quig, it's a big day for Devin Singletary today. It's just a big day for him today. So gonna roll with Houston here today, boys.
Quick question. Yeah, this is actually I asked about what Derrick Henry did. This is the first time his team's playing this year. They're kind of like the Eagles. They played them in week 17 or week 18 or whatever.
Houston already.
No, they played. It was 19.
No,
they played 2 weeks ago. That's what it was. They played 2 weeks ago. I'm looking at this.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because
Houston won with the backup quarterback.
They wore the Oilers uniforms. They were trolling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they were trolling them.
Derrick Henry, 6. That's right. Derrick Henry. That's when Derrick Henry set the most rushing attempts for the fewest yards. 16 carries from 9.
No, yeah.
Texans have alternate wins and losses last 6 weeks. That would mean that they win today, which they probably should.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh visits Seattle, 8-7 versus 8-7. Seattle laying 4 and a hook, 40.5 is the number. Pittsburgh needs one more win this year for 20 years in a row with a 500 or better record. We can have a discussion all day about whether that's good or bad, but that's the reality of it. Seattle's the only team in the league with 3 wide receivers with 50 or more catches. Obviously, you know those 3 names. Don't need us to tell you who they are.
That's crazy.
I think Seattle wins this game. I'm not sure it could be a field goal game, but I think Seattle wins this game at home.
I'm surprised this game still has playoff implications. I like Seattle today. I think they're relatively healthy. I mean, yeah, there's a couple guys banged up. Metcalf and Walker will still play though. Geno's back under center. I mean, listen, I think Seattle is a much better team overall than Pittsburgh, and I think you'll see that at home today. Give me Seattle, obviously by the hook. The over-under seems way too low for some reason. I think Seattle's a team that could put up some points, and I'm a little surprised how low the 40.5 is, but that's very stinky. But I'll still stay with Seattle.
I'm rolling with Pittsburgh today. I'm grabbing that 4.5, and I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a close game. I think their offense looked a little different with Rudolph. I mean, they're trying to get the ball now to Pickens more, running the ball a little bit better. Harris down at the goal line. Yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh today, plus 4.5. I'm gonna. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they won either. A little 168 on the money line.
Yeah, Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks. You already talked about the top 7 teams getting in. They win today. It's looking good for them making in that 7th spot for the NFC wild card. Seahawks should that record for the Steelers, it's so fraudulent. I just feel like it's so fraudulent. Go Seahawks, man. Seahawks here.
Must-see TV in Denver as Easton Stick takes on Jarrett Stidham in a knockdown drag, a heavyweight fight. 5-10 Chargers, 7-8 Broncos. Denver laying 3 and a hook. 37 is the number. Keenan Allen is not going to play today, but he does have the single season record for catches by a Charger at 108. Denver is 0-7 when they have a negative turnover differential. That can probably be said for a lot of teams.
Listen, real quick, that record is a legit record too, because he hasn't played. And, we've seen it next week. We'll see all these other kind of nonsense records being broke. But, you know what, in the games that he played, that's a legit record because, he did that in 16 games, which props to Keenan Allen. But that's the thing. I like Broncos today. I have more faith in Jarrett Stidham than I do in Easton Stick. I think Chargers have a lot of problems that Drew is well aware of. Give me Denver at Denver. And it'll be interesting to see how they respond. I think both teams are going through a lot of changes, so it's going to be interesting to see who responds to what. No Cortland Sutton today, I think is a little bit hampering, but I think this game is just going to be an absolute mess.
Yeah.
So maybe our boy Quentin Johnson has a decent game. I have him in a desperate play in one league, but I think Broncos will pull it out at home. Help that draft pick, Drew.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's go, baby. I'm rooting for Denver today. Yeah, let's go. Like Quick just said, man, the only reason why is for a better draft pick.
That's all that matters.
Keep losing, dude. Keep losing. Go Carolina. Go Commanders. It's not going to happen. Go all these bottom teams. Let's go.
Yeah, I like Denver today too. I'll buy that point down. Take Denver -3 at home. I like a Javonte Williams touchdown today. I think they'll run the ball, get it down there. So yeah, give me the Broncos with a Williams touchdown today.
This game meant a lot more, or has a lot better when Joe Burrow was playing, but it is what it is. 8-7 Bengals surprising people against the 9-6 Chiefs, laying 6.5. 45 is the number. They're 3-2 since Jake Browning's taken over for Joe. KC has allowed 17.7 points per game, under 290 yards per game. That's both second best in the league. So the defense is legit. Is this the game where the Chiefs become who we thought they were?
Bet Reese Rice's overs. I mean, that'll be it. If you're a fantasy owner, you got to hope Mahomes kind of tries to do something at home against a Bengals defense that can be exposed. Chase Brown's been a nice little change up in the backfield. I mean, Bengals have shown some fights. So you got to give them some props for that. This game is just a letdown in a lot of aspects because you're looking at the schedule, you're signing it like, wow, this is going to be for the number 1 seed AFC. Now it's for
nothing.
Chiefs to gain a little stability, basically.
Nothing.
The Chiefs need to win. I mean, really, after their mess last week. But give me the Chiefs defense to shut down the Bengals. Jamar Chase probably going to be a late scratch. He's kind of iffy right now to play, but I'll take the Chiefs.
The Chiefs aren't losing their division. I mean, I think the Chiefs are basically locked into the 3 seed for the most part. That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't even really matter, right? Because I mean,
the Raiders can win though.
Kansas City next week, they're at the Chargers.
Who?
Kansas City's at the Chargers next week.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
I just don't think it matters. Right? I think that they are locked in to their spot.
Yeah. It's the Chiefs today. I think we saw the real Jake Browning last week. I think that Cinderella story is coming to an end, and we're gonna the Chiefs. I think a lot of people are overlooking. They have overlooked the Chiefs' defense this year. They've been really stout. One of the promising things about their team this year was their defense. I should say. Snead and Chris Jones, which is going to be an interesting story, Brian, in the offseason where Chris Jones is going to go and get paid. It's just the Chiefs need to come back to what they were and get that 2-game win streak, just like the Eagles are going to have this seed. The Chiefs needed desperately to get on that streak as they head into the wild card weekend.
Yep.
I hate betting with the Chiefs because they rarely cover.
You're right.
They're one of those teams that just don't do it. So I'm kind of going to stay away from this. I like the Chiefs to win today just because I think Browning will struggle against this really good defense. So I think the Chiefs bounce back with a victory. I got a little long shot touchdown. Not really of a long shot, but I like Justin Watson plus 400 anytime touchdown.
I like it. I got to play him in a desperate league. I'm playing against Mahomes. I had to throw Watson in there to counteract it. But gentlemen, I got to get out of here.
All right.
I got
Happy New Year.
All right, have a good New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
See you in AC tonight.
One more game to go. And Stu, who's the road team in that game?
It's Green Bay fucking Packers.
That's hurtful, Stu.
Fucking Packers.
They are visiting the 7-8 Vikings. Minnesota's laying the big one. Over under 43.5. Jordan Love has 2+ touchdowns or more and 0 picks in 5 of his last 6 games. Minnesota, 14 of 15 games this year have been 1-possession games, and they're 6-8, and that's the reason that they're 7-8. I mean, who's watching this? Okay.
Who's watching it?
Who cares?
I'm a football fanatic. I care about your freaking hockey.
Hey, Rangers are off tonight. Maybe it's New Year's. It's New Year's Eve. I hope to be drinking something.
Oh, actually, I won't be watching it tonight. I'm going to a New Year's Eve party. So
there you go.
Actually, I'm not.
Not with kids. You're not.
No, actually, I am with kids. They're going.
Oh
with
boy!
us.
All right.
It's a big friend thing. Listen, dude. This is actually it's a big game. Regardless of what you want to say or not, it's a big game because it has implications for one of these teams to move up in the wild card standings and the playoff standings. Not a lot to talk about it. I'm not going to get crazy about it. I'm going to go with Green Bay, just to the mere fact of I don't know who the hell's starting for Minnesota.
Jaron Hall.
So that's great. I don't know him. I'm going to go with Jordan Love and the Packers. Man, Packers disappointing in the last month. They easily could have walked away.
Sure.
We did our predictions a couple weeks ago, Brian. But yeah, I'm gonna go Packers here. Give me a healthy dose of Aaron Jones, and I don't think Christian Watson's playing, but Jalen Reed.
Try like Jalen Reed.
Yeah, no, I feel you. We still got Romeo Dubs.
Yeah, not much to this. I'll take the Packers also. I think the Vikings, losing Hawkinson, that hurts. Obviously, they're starting the quarterback Hall. So, plain and simple, give me the Packers, and maybe I'll just throw some money on a Justin Jefferson touchdown. I see it's plus 135.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, look, we thought they were going to win out, and then they go lose to the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, well, listen, that's week 17. Good luck to everybody in the championship final today in fantasy. Make sure you get those wins. We want to hear about it if you do. I hope it's a profitable day. I guess we'll probably do it next week. I'm personally going to be out for a couple weeks. I'm going to Disney World for 2 weeks in January, so we'll see what we have to do about that. But next week, there will be playoff location. We'll probably focus on the games that matter. I'm going to be a little bit shorter show, but we'll see where things go. Good luck to everybody. Thank you all for joining in, watching the Sports Box. We'll see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.